Ships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Ho, 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 Henry. Merry Christmas, my man.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, too.
Early Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we're still a week early.
We're still, well, not by my sweater, if that's what you're using to judge the calendar.
I guess not.
For those of you watching on the YouTubes, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, to tonight's edition of the Matt Rooney Show, you have some bonus footage. You have video of me wearing what is probably one of the more hideous, ugly sweaters you've seen this season. In addition to, well, see, I don't even know what this is. I think this is supposed to be a tree branch, but it looks like seaweed that washes up on the beach.
I was going to say, it's giving me that, like, Charlie Brown Christmas, that Christmas tree. It's giving me that type of vibe, as a sweater. As
it should, because I think as a person, I give off a Charlie Brown Christmas tree vibe. That's what this Matt Rooney Show is. It's the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Come on,
of conservative radio.
You got to give yourself more credit than that. I mean, yeah, maybe when they doll it up a little at the end, that's the Matt Rooney Show.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yes.
It's a little show that could, it's looking a little sad out there in the tree patch yard lot. I guess it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know where they.
Unless you go like Clark Griswold and you cut one down fresh. But with a little bit of TLC and with a whole lot of effort, you can turn that tree into a fantastic Yuletide display. And that's what we're going to do for you tonight on this edition of the program. By the way, 855-839-1210 is the number on the Matt Rooney Show, should you wish to call in and participate. It's been a while. I've been getting some grief from at least a few of you on social media about how sparsely we've been on over the past several weeks. And it is largely my fault because I took no time off in 2022. None at all. I worked my cute little keister off. So my wife, very appropriately, put her foot down and said, we're going to take some vacations this year. So that's what we did. We took some vacations. We took some time off. We had the family time, which is what the holidays are about to begin with, right? And I got to spend that very valuable block of Sundays that I'm otherwise here hanging out with all of you with the fam. And if you're a regular listener to this program, how much I enjoy being with you all. It's not just some cliche thing I say to make you like me. I genuinely feel attachment to this audience that we built up over the past few years. But every now and then absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I needed the time. So we are going to hit the ground running in 2024. We have an election and a couple other things going on. You may have heard. But this is the final Matt Rooney Show of 2023. The ball doesn't drop for over a week, but our ball is dropping tonight on the Matt Rooney Show. I will say this, though. For those of you who are thinking, oh, goodness gracious, how am I going to get through the holiday season without hearing Matt's melodious voice? You're in luck. I am doing some fill-ins. I've been impressed into service by Gregory Stocker on the morning show and for the man, the myth, the legend, Rich Zeoli over the course of the holidays. Starting this Friday, the 22nd of December, I'll be filling in with the lovely and talented Mary Walter on Kale & Company. We're doing a tag team performance. I think that's the goal.
Crossover episode.
It is a crossover episode. That's right. When your favorite character from another program shows up on the other show on the same network, that's what this is. And Mary's great. She's hilarious. And she's always on point. So I've never had the opportunity to work with her before. And actually, Henry, I don't think I've ever met Mary, believe it or not.
I've worked for her the first time earlier this year when Rich was out for a little bit. She's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, she seems like a nice person, but it's funny because when you have your show on the weekend and then you do fill-ins occasionally, I'm only there if they don't have a fill-in. So if Mary's there, why would I be there? So
yeah,
we'll have fun. We'll have a good time on Friday. I guess it's probably us and Anthony, and we'll play some Christmas music and do all the good stuff you're used to hearing during the daytime. But tonight, we have a program chock full of my roundup of the headlines. You know, if you are a regular listener of this program, we only talk about the things I'm interested in. May sound like an obvious statement, but I don't just pull the headlines from the Drudge Report or Real Clear Politics that you're expected to regurgitate on a conservative radio show. We only talk about things if I think they're worth talking about. You don't have to agree with me, but then you have other choices in programming available to you. God bless America, right? That's the way the free market works. So buckle up, get ready for a solid 3 hours of the stuff that Matt thinks you need to know as 2023 comes to a close. And what a year it was. It wasn't a particularly good year, I think, for conservatives in the mid-Atlantic states. Elections did not go too well on either side of the river, particularly in New Jersey where the legislature was on the ballot. But 2024 is another opportunity to get it right. That's the beauty of the American system, even though the left is doing the best they can to erode it, destroy it, mangle it beyond recognition. There's always the next election. We don't elect dictators, kings, people that serve for life and are completely unaccountable in this country, even though the deep state does its best to try to insulate some of these folks from your scrutiny. There's always another chance. And in 2024, we have an opportunity to right a few wrongs, not just in our own backyard here in the Delaware Valley, but at the national level. And I'm almost at the point where I am, going to issue an edict here on the Matt Rooney Show and say we're officially done talking about polls, because how many times can we get burnt? And I know producer Dan, when he was on this program, he actually would get visibly angry. You'd see his little angry face twist whenever I brought up polling.
I'm in that same vein as him.
The only difference between you and Dan is that you have a better poker face.
Well, thank you.
I
try.
I can't always tell when you're disgusted by my choice of topic, which says something about you. I think good.
I always enjoy the topics you bring to this show.
Well,
I really do.
Well, I appreciate that, brown noser. Henry's like, you don't sign my check. I don't care whether you like me or not. Stocker told me to show up, and I'm here. I will. Something I think I do want to do tonight is I want to talk to you a little bit about my vacation, because having 2 young kids and being a busy young professional, like many of you that listen to the show, I don't get out much, so to speak, right? So I'm not taking vacations on the reg like some of you that are in your golden years, or those of you that do not have children. So for me, it was an interesting experience, particularly traveling at Christmas. Christmas is a special time of year in more ways than one, including to be on the road, the interactions you have with people, the things you see. Oh, the people watching. The people watching is absolutely incredible. In some ways depressing, but always interesting. And I was all over the place. I was in Orlando. I was in Aruba. We did this multi-stage thing because, as I mentioned, we hadn't taken a family vacation, in a good long while. So we decided, you know what? Let's just make a massive one. We called it Mega Vacation. Very creative, I know. You're impressed, Henry.
Yeah.
But yes,
expect nothing less.
Expect nothing less. I'm one of the great wordsmiths of our time. But let me just share a few observations with you all from the top, since again, we're a family on this show. So just like you would with family, I haven't seen you in a while. Let me go ahead and tell you what I experienced on vacation. First of all, at the risk of being a little corny, but it is the holiday season. I had forgotten how fun it is to say Merry Christmas to strangers when you're traveling this time of year. And what I noticed, and to be clear, I'm not walking up to someone trying to stamp a cross on their forehead. I'm not doing it in an aggressive way, right? I'm saying it in the way and in the spirit that it's supposed to be made, that expression, which is, hey, I'm experiencing joy. I want you to have a nice day and experience a little bit of that too. And I don't think in all those airports I was in over the course of my 11-day vacation, whatever the heck it was, especially since I had at least one screaming kid in tow at any given time, I don't think one person gave me a negative reaction when I said Merry Christmas. So, maybe is there some parallel since Christmas is fundamentally a story about a family traveling, right, in much more difficult circumstances than I was this year. But do people maybe recognize the parallel, and that's some of the reason there's some magic in the phrase? Maybe, maybe. But if you're going to be traveling this year for Christmas, hopefully listen to 1210 WPHT while you are, but maybe consider trying it out yourself. Here's another comment. Since I mentioned that I went through Orlando, saw a lot of Disney adults. I know we talk a lot about Disney on this station. Yeah, correct reaction, Henry. Look, wokeness aside, I am like most American kids that grew up in the 80s, 90s, right? I have a lot of nostalgia for Disney's classic products. But these people in their 30s or 40s or older that are walking around in an airport dressed like a princess because they're going to Disney World, it's kind of cute when your kid does it. When you do it, it's weird, and I'm not a psychologist, but I expect that it probably has something to do with something unresolved from your childhood you need to address. True or false, Henry?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some factor, factoring in like that at that level. Yeah, some sort of deep-seated something. I don't know.
It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. We gotta run that by someone who actually has the appropriate credentials. Um, Along the lines of people, that are sort of annoying, and this is gonna trigger some of you, but, look, this whole station carries a trigger warning. We're a First Amendment free speech station. Way too many American adults in scooters for no apparent reason other than the fact that they're morbidly obese. And I need to be clear what I'm talking about here. Obviously, some people have disabilities, they have things going on, and it's great that we have the technology to help them be able to go to a theme park, to go to a resort with their families, right? Without getting pushed in a wheelchair. But there are way too many fat scooters out there.
You don't like the rascals?
Well, especially since they're rude. I cannot tell you how many times I was almost killed this trip alone
Yeah.
by somebody who's 600 pounds riding one of these things around like they just own the road. It's insane. And it look, I mean, I could lose 20 pounds. Who couldn't, right? Many of us could. But it's probably does not say something good about where we are as a nation health-wise that so many people need these darn things. And I'm around enough I have a lot of people in the medical profession in my life. I'm around enough people to know that these are predominantly not people that had strokes, right? Or something like that. They were in the cart because they're huge. So, I'll leave that there now that I dropped that grenade. Um, I don't miss politics when I'm gone. Surprise, surprise. I did say honestly at the beginning of this program that I miss you all when I'm not with you. That is true. I enjoy talking about these things with you. But when I unplug, especially being a Republican in a blue state like New Jersey, I got to tell you, I don't miss covering and having to talk about these crooks and socialists and other all around uh, reprehensible losers that we need to dissect and discuss all the time on programs like the Matt Rooney Show. Don't miss it. Happy to come back and do it. Someone has to engage the fight. Might as well be me, right? But having a break from these people is nice. God bless the political animals out there who are itching to read the Drudge Report or Politico or whatever when they're gone for 24 hours and they need to find their cell phone and be able to log in. It's just, it's not me. And it's probably not healthy. And it's an I talked about physical health a minute ago with the fat scooters. It's probably part of the reason our politics is so poisonous, that our political culture is populated by people that can't unplug. They're in it, and they forget what it's like to not be in it, and they don't know what the people that are out of it are experiencing.
Yeah. Chronically online, you got that brain rot going for you.
It affects your brain.
Yeah.
That's very well said, Henry. And we've all seen the articles and the studies suggesting there's a scientific basis for that. When you go overseas, even if you're in a lovely place like one of these great little islands down in the Caribbean, there is magic about touching down in the United States. When I'm overseas, I don't care where I am, when the pilot says, "Welcome to Philadelphia International Airport. Welcome to, Newark Liberty National," whatever. You know what I mean? Whenever I touch down in the United States, I am always happy to be in the US for all of our problems and woes and challenges and political strife and all the stuff that we're going to wade into this evening on this program. This is still the greatest place on the planet. And I always have a little bit of joy in my heart, a little bit of a flutter. Not the tingle that Chris Matthews got when he talked to about Barack Obama going down his leg, but a little flutter in my cardiac region when I come back to this great country. People that are annoyed, Henry, by babies crying on an airplane, there's a special place in hell for them. And I want to create a clear distinction here between a baby crying and a child that is misbehaving. You have every right to be annoyed if parents aren't doing their job. But if a baby is crying on a plane while you're landing because their ears are popping or something, I don't make the calls for Santa Claus, but you should be getting a gigantic lump of coal in your stocking. Because it's just, you shouldn't be annoyed by children like that.
Um, I get what you're saying. I do agree, but I mean, a baby crying is still annoying, even if you know they can't help it.
You know they can't help it. So, all right, let me.
It's not like you'd say anything. It's like, can you quiet him down? It's like, what do you think? I'm trying here.
Well, right. So let me refine this a little bit. I am not suggesting that if you hear a baby crying for an hour on an airplane, you should turn around and say, "Oh my God, that's gorgeous, beautiful music. It's the voice of an angel." Granted, fine. But people that are visibly annoyed by a fussy kid on an airplane, I don't know. Maybe it's something that gets colored by my perspective as being a father and having kids. But I saw one particular parent on one of the flights I was on that was really struggling, and this woman a row over just gave him the stink eye for 2 hours straight. You can agree with me, disagree with me. That's the program, folks. You tell me what you think. When I am gone, as I round out my little hit list here, the food I always miss the most is pizza. We are blessed, for those of us that are listening to this program in the Delaware Valley. I know some of you are well beyond. There's a pizza belt in this country that runs from Boston to some degree down to southern New Jersey, the Delaware Valley, where you can get really solid pizza. And there's some around the country that's edible. Like I know some think Chicago deep dish is worth writing home about. Take it or leave it. But pizza, in a significant portion of the United States, this greatest nation in creation I talked about a moment ago, tastes like ketchup on a cracker with a little bit of Velveeta cheese cut up and sprinkled on top. It's not good. You really have to be here for good pizza. Arguably, there's some other foods too, Henry, like bagels that just don't taste the same when you get out of our part of the world. Like a bagel in Denver does not taste anything like a bagel from a North Jersey deli. I think the water has something to do with it. It does. It does. It's science, right?
I love when people say that. It's the water. It's the water. It's not the same.
What else could it be? What else could it be?
We get ours flown in from Jersey.
So I think it was Pat Croce when he was with the 76ers.
Yeah.
He had a restaurant in Florida, and I heard that he used to fly in Amoroso rolls.
Yeah.
For his, do you remember hearing about this?
Yeah, I remember that.
Because there's just something about the bread in this part of the world. Final comment before we take our first break of the night. Long first segment about my travel over the holiday season. Airport security. Oh my God. At one airport, we have 2 kids I said that we were traveling with, and we have a double stroller, right? They had 4 agents at one point inspecting this stroller all over this thing, examining it. You know, the only thing they didn't do is get underneath it with a mirror, like you see them do with a car on television when they're trying to like defuse a bomb or something, right? Like the only thing they didn't do. Really? This is a use of taxpayer dollars that anyone thinks makes any sense whatsoever? You all know this already because you're listening to this program, but when you travel and you go through multiple airports in a single trip and you have a ton of experience with security, of course there's some decent people working there, right? They need a job. That's the job they applied for. Good for them. But you can't deny that airport security is not really oriented towards stopping the 9/11. It's just an extension of the federal bureaucracy at this point. And much of what they do isn't even narrowly tailored towards preventing the kind of stuff that they're supposed to be intercepting. I mean, look what's happening at the border right now. We'll talk about that tonight. There's the story about the IED, which is absolutely terrifying. Redirect some of the people scrutinizing my kid's double stroller down to the border and maybe prevent some IEDs and bombs and human traffickers and drug cartel members and assorted other evildoers, as George W. Bush used to say, keep them from coming into my country instead of harassing me and my family and making our trip all the more stressful. So I've got a few opinions. You know this. I gave you a few from my travel over the course of the holiday season. And I hope wherever you're going this holiday season, your travel is overall, with the exception of airport security, is enjoyable, safe, and lovely and affirming as mine was. But we have other things to talk about tonight on the Matt Rooney Show. 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's take our first break, and then we come back. We're going to kick this show into high gear.
This Christmas, put the world on hold and enjoy a Sinatra and Friends Christmas with Sid Mark.
You better watch out. You better not cry.
Starting Christmas Eve at 3, it's Frank, Dean, and Sammy, plus Ella, Barbara, Tony, and more. A Sinatra and Friends Christmas with Sid Mark. Christmas Eve at 3 and all day Christmas Day. Only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. If you get a new tablet or cell phone this year, recycle your old one, either by donation or an e-waste program. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
PennDOT reopens part of 202, but traffic remains a problem in King of Prussia due to sinkholes. Philadelphia wins a $16 million federal grant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in parts of North Philadelphia. Eagles announced quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable for Monday's game against the Seahawks.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The winter months are rolling in, and I'm excited to talk with you, though, about Rescue's Natural Supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health boosting products at under $20? To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. You'll speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, support overall well-being with Rescue's selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com today.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marbany Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you had a service technician out recently from one of the large private equity-owned HVAC companies? Did they tell you to replace equipment you thought was working fine? Did you know that their service technicians have quotas that they either meet or get fired? Whoops, that was a secret. Here's another secret. My 70-year-old family-owned company does not have quotas. My guys are there to fix, not sell. And that's why you can trust us. Contact us now at marvinycans.com.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? Start at PI Dental Center. With the latest in digital technology to state-of-the-art treatment, PI Dental Center is a full-service practice. 2 board-certified specialists, Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, are originators of the Teeth in a Day protocol, a revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth on the same day as the implants are placed. Hey, I've been a patient of PI Dental for over 20 years, and now is the time for you to invest in yourself. Visit PIDentalCenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Hey, Warminster, we know your favorite station is WPHT.
Tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
Hot take, Henry. The version of this song that the little girl sings in Love Actually is better. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'll be honest. I have never seen that movie.
You've never seen Love Actually?
So
no woman has ever forced you to sit through that entire movie?
I love movies, but I have come to realize, especially this month, that I have not seen enough Christmas movies.
You have not seen enough Christmas movies.
Correct.
The breadth of options you have every year, you have not fully plumbed the depths of Christmas cinema.
I never do. There's so many I never seen. I don't know if I want to see. They're just kind of corny. I don't know.
Well, you got to embrace the corny, my man. That's what it's all about. Now, I will tell you, I should turn in my man card for admitting this. If Zioli was here, he'd pull a red card, actually, on me and kick me out of the studio. I have made a practice with my wife of watching really bad Hallmark movies. We try to watch at least one a week, but we make fun of it. Remember Mystery Science Theater 3000 or whatever that program was? The guy and the robots that are stranded and they have to watch really terrible movies and they make fun of them.
Oh, man.
Do you remember that show?
No.
Oh, but Henry, man.
We're a generation apart here. That's sometimes you say things and it's just I have no idea what you're saying.
They always saddle me with these talented but very young producers that make me pushing 40 feel like I'm 80. You never saw Mystery Science Theater?
No, never even heard of it.
All right. You would actually enjoy it because I do know your sense of humor.
Okay.
You would think it was funny.
All right.
But that's part of the joy of the season, right? You kind of embrace the corny. I'm not talking act like an immature child Disney adult.
Yeah.
Take leave of your senses kind of thing. But you allow yourself to enjoy things or at least find some kind of enjoyment in things that you would not 11 other months of the year.
I guess.
You are so skeptical.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I like a movie that's like, tongue-in-cheek acting where everyone knows the acting stinks, but not necessarily a movie where the acting and the writing really does stink and they're acting it out seriously. I don't know. Are these like I've never really sat down and watched a Hallmark movie.
But they all have the same plot.
That's what I'm I can't.
So you don't have to spend a lot of time laboring over understanding the formula. It's a busy professional woman in the city who is devoted to her career, but something's missing. What is it? And then something takes her to a sleepy little outpost in a rural part of the country. Could be the Deep South, could be a little mountain hamlet in New Hampshire. And maybe she's there to close a deal to buy a family in that's been struggling. And she falls in love with whoever the hot local guy is that wears flannel and is trying to save the family business. And then sometimes you can add in some twists. There's a little bit of variation in the formula. Like maybe sometimes he's Santa Claus's son. Finding out that you're actually in love with Santa Claus's heir, that's when they need to kick it to the next level. It's the extra spice.
Okay, I can get behind that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're not good, but you can find entertainment in them. Well, so good segue. We won't do it right now. Maybe we'll save it for the next hour or something because we got 3 hours here. But Henry and I were talking about tonight's program. I am a little bit of a Christmas movie aficionado. So I've assembled a list of my 10 favorite Christmas movies of all time. Did you have time to put yours together?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So you have yours, even though you acknowledge that your experience is a little more limited.
There's a few. Okay, I'm going to have some omissions in this list. Some of the movies I think are just overrated and I don't like, and then some I just straight up haven't seen.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
The overrated list is going to be the interesting one.
Okay.
Because there's Christmas movies that are definitely overrated, and it's fine that people love them.
Sure.
Right? Love is love, according to the Obergefell decision. But they're just not my cup of tea. Was there overlap with our lists?
A little bit.
A little bit overlap?
A little bit. Yeah, there's I think 3, maybe 4 movies.
I have a feeling mine's going to skew older because you've already established. I mean, look at the sweater.
Yours did skew a bit older.
Would anybody young and hip wear this?
Yes, maybe.
It's Christmas balls. Fuzzy.
I think
furry.
It needs to be uglier.
You don't think this is ugly enough?
No. There needs to be more going on. Like I want to. an ugly Christmas sweater, I should be looking at you and I should be getting an immediate headache.
Okay, fair enough. See, I looked at it a little bit differently. I looked at it as to be plausible. Because the entire original purpose of the ugly Christmas sweater is it's something you pulled, out of your grandmother's closet as the mothballs are falling at your feet.
Yeah.
And someone at some point in time, maybe the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, thought that it was a good sweater.
Mhm.
So I think this is something your grandmother or grandfather would have actually worn and thought was cool. Now you buy them online and they're so outlandish. Clearly no one ever wore them in a serious context.
Yeah, you got me there a little bit.
I don't know.
Maybe again, it's another generational thing.
It's another generational thing, Henry. 855-839-1210, by the way, is a number for those of you older hats that still use the phone if you want to call in and participate with the program. You can also, for our younger digitally capable listeners and viewers, you can check us out. The Rune Cam is streaming on this Christmas version of the Matt Rooney Show over at youtube.com/@1210 WPHT. And usually we have a relatively lively chat. Secret Squirrel says the sweater is fire, my friend. Thank you, Secret Squirrel. He also says that he can smell the mold from wherever he is. I don't doubt it. Although it only got one wearing this year, so maybe it is a little bit moldy. It's been in the closet. I wore it to the neighborhood cookie contest. My wife won. By the way, yes.
Were we swapping cookies?
We
Here
were swapping cookies.
You-
Only cookies.
Yeah.
It was a PG party. Only cookies were getting swapped. I want to be clear about that.
I wasn't getting at anything else.
You're a little bit of a.
I love a great cookie exchange. There's nothing I look forward to more than, just seeing a big plate
glorious.
of an assortment of Christmas cookies.
There's nothing more beautiful.
Oh my gosh! You know what? That's what gets me going every holiday.
Yeah, I can tell.
The Christmas.
I'm gonna have to throw you in a cold shower on the break here. You're really thinking Christmas movies don't get Henry going. Hallmark movies, sappy as they are, don't get Henry going. They don't get his engine revving. Cookies though.
Cookies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate chip cookies, pizzelles, peanut butter blossoms. I like an oatmeal raisin.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oatmeal raisin
I
with
think
a
they're
big.
super underrated. I don't get the hate against them.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Got a nice
I'm with
cinnamon
you.
taste to them. They're sweet. I don't get it. Yeah, I like those too.
I'm
no chocolate chip though.
I'm looking, Henry, as we're talking about this, at some of the latest polls out of New Hampshire, and my mind is doing a natural, albeit uncharitable leap from this cookie conversation to Chris Christie, because he's now dropped to fourth in the latest poll. And I know it's mean, it's the holidays, even though I'm not a fan of Fatty McThunder biscuits, I should be a little bit more Christian about it this time of year. But I mean, I have to think he could probably get in on this cookie conversation and give us a very expert opinion.
I think he's calling in right now.
You think he is? Does he have a mouthful of cookies? I don't think he's
Sounds
an
like
oatmeal raisin guy. I think oatmeal's too healthy for him.
No shot.
Yeah, I think Christy probably likes to take 2 chocolate chip cookies and put a cheeseburger in between them and just get down on that. Oh man, you can pay me to watch it. Kind of be like watching Phil Murphy with those crooked teeth eat an apple. No way. Not happening. We do have a New Hampshire primary coming up though, once the holidays are over and Henry and I are done eating cookies. And there is a new CBS poll out. We know how we feel about polls around here. But it does show 2 things. It shows Chris Christie now in 4th place. That's a change from the last CBS poll when he was in 3rd. He slipped behind DeSantis by kind of a statistically insignificant number, 1%, or at 11 and 10, respectively. Ramaswamy back in 5. He lost some support. Asa Hutchinson is circling the toilet bowl at 1%. Donald Trump out in 1st place with 44%. The story here is Nikki Haley, who's popped to 29%, which we know because the media and the establishment hate Donald Trump. Every time one of these other Republican candidates has anything more than a flat line of life showing, you see these excited articles. Oh, whoever's poised to overtake Donald Trump, insert candidate here. And it's rarely the case. This has been a primary, and you've seen these debates, so you know what I'm talking about. It's been a primary for first to lose, 2nd place. And I don't think many of them actually have that great of a shot of being his running mate. Maybe Nikki Haley. We'll see. I know that probably doesn't make many of you very happy. I can't say it's my first choice for a Trump vice president. But what are these people fighting for? Are they competing for a CNN program? Maybe. I think in Christie's case, that's highly likely that that's what he's aiming at. So CNN's dozens of loyal viewers can tune into his program that'll crop up after he gets bumped from this primary after New Hampshire. But these numbers are somewhat interesting because, I'm going to step back here and be a little less cynical and try to be a little analytical. It does suggest that Nikki Haley, at least in this early key primary state, may be consolidating some of the anti-Trump vote. The problem I think she's going to run into as we head into Christmas and New Hampshire's right around the corner, there still do not appear to be enough anti-Trump voters, particularly in a divided field, for anyone to overtake this guy. And it's just simple math for those of you that learned it from something or someplace other than a teachers union run institution. DeSantis is at 11. All of those people that like DeSantis are not voting against Donald Trump. He would get at least a couple percent or a few percent of them were he to leave the race. Same thing with Ramaswamy. You've seen the debate exchanges between those two. Do you think Ramaswamy voters are Nikki Haley curious voters? Not in the slightest. Ramaswamy voters are MAGA-esque voters that, for whatever reason, don't think Donald Trump deserves another bite at the proverbial apple. So you do not really have a majority or even, I think, an actionable minority in the GOP at the moment that is anti-Trump. So I just don't think the numbers are there. I could be wrong. We could get another poll on the other end of the holidays after the ball drops on New Year's Eve and Nikki Haley's at 35%, and all of a sudden we can legitimately say it's a race in New Hampshire. I don't think we're quite there yet. And I know that hurts the feelings and badly triggers the anti-Trumpers out there who believe that despite the fact that we have a president who is barely lucid on his good days, you still think that Donald Trump is the number one existential threat to this republic at a time when IEDs are being brought across the borders, that we're literally being invaded on our southern border. Our economy is showing serious cracks despite what they might tell you. And we're going to get into that a little bit more this evening. There is every reason to expect, if you didn't know more about American politics, that all of the Republicans will be leading Joe Biden by double digits right now. But that's not the nature of our deeply divided party. I do want to point out, for those of you that still look at polls, Donald Trump is polling quite well against Joe Biden at the moment. RCP average, Donald Trump up 3.5% on average over Joe Biden right now, which historically might be Donald Trump's largest margin over Joe Biden in the polling averages of all time. Because he was never ahead, you'll recall, back in 2020 at any point over Joe Biden. He has been ahead of Joe Biden at various points heading into the next cycle, but never by anything like this. This is huge. And you need to recall why this is big. And I'm not telling you to live and die by polls. I'm just trying to decipher the information that we have available to us. Republicans have an electoral college problem because you've got these giant populous states like California that are deep blue, where we get completely shellacked in every presidential election. Republicans have not won the popular vote more than once since 1988 in a presidential cycle. Think about that for a second. The only time was 2004 after 9/11 when George Bush was hugely popular before Iraq became a quagmire. So if Trump is truly up 3.5% nationally, that means Trump is on pace to get, 340, 350 electoral votes. We are looking at a landslide, the likes of which we haven't seen since the 1980s. Now, don't get your panties in a twist. Your old pal Matt's not predicting anything. It's December. We have almost a year to go before anyone actually votes. And we all know the Republican systemic problems with vote by mail. And let's face it, most of them are wimps. And they can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory professionally. That's what they do. That's what Republicans are exceptional at. I'm just telling you that this data, these polls, whether you believe them or not, this is why you're seeing Democrats have cold sweats. This is why you're starting to see articles, and I have to pull this out of the stack, It's been reported that there are now 5 Democrat senators, and this is from townhall.com, that are allegedly open to voting for Joe Biden's impeachment. 5. Now, yeah, I mean, if we go state to state, you can find some Democrat senators that are in purple or red territory who kind of need to watch their political rear ends as we head into a presidential cycle with Trump at the top of the ballot. Sure. But to that point, you know that if this is true, they're not considering impeachment because they've all of a sudden grown a conscience. It doesn't work that way. They're doing it because they're looking at this polling and they recognize that if this does indeed come to reality, come to fruition, if this is what the RCP average looks like in late October 2024, the Democrat Party is in deep, deep, deep trouble. Deeper than a gigantic pile of cocaine assembled by Hunter Biden. They're in deeper trouble than whatever ravine they wanted to drop that laptop into. We're talking like Michigan going red, Pennsylvania going red, states like Minnesota taking a week to count that should be reliably blue for the Democrats. You don't have to believe it. You just have to, in these situations, be able to understand how your adversary interprets this information. And they're panicking. So expect to see a renewed push in the beginning of the year if this doesn't change for an alternative. They don't want RFK, obviously, which is why RFK is now running as an Indy. But, I mean, if you're Gavin Newsom, you're at least not wandering too far away from the bullpen in case there is a last-minute swap. I mean, they're running out of time to make it happen, Henry. But it's still not impossible.
I mean, that's what Rich speculates a lot of the time. Switch could happen any day now.
Rich is also cynical like me because Rich Zeoli and I are both New Jersey Republicans, and we've seen this happen.
Yeah.
We've seen them switch in people at the last minute because they don't care about the rules like we do. We're always worried about abiding by the Queensberry rules, by doing it the correct way. The Democrats don't care. I mean, take what's happening with George Santos on Capitol Hill. Dude's a scumbag, all right? He's weird. He creeps me out, right? His videos he's put up recently, some of them are kind of funny. I'll admit that. He's entitled to his presumption of innocence just like everybody else, but am I going to be surprised if he gets convicted of something? No. Dude just has that scuzzy vibe. Have Democrats kicked out any of their individuals who are under severe ethical or criminal scrutiny right now? No. We're the only morons, the only rubes that do that kind of thing. We cut off our own legs. The Democrats aren't that stupid, right? I mean, Bob Menendez, there's someone who's been credibly accused, okay, of acting as a foreign agent for Egypt, right? He's like not a spy, but a foreign agent in the most powerful body of lawmaking authority in this entire country. Arguably, at least at one point it was, the preeminent deliberative body on the planet. Bob Menendez is in there. This is what he's been accused of. He's been accused of being a traitor, essentially. Democrats have not made any real effort to remove him. Ironically, the only one that's saying anything is John Fetterman, and it's probably because poor John Fetterman has a brain injury, so he keeps forgetting he's not supposed to. I'll take it, but that's it. That's it. Meanwhile, you got that other joker running around, Henry, that pulled the fire alarm to stop a vote. That's high treason, right? Right? Because on January 6th, the Viking and the other idiots that stormed Capitol Hill, they were undermining democracy, and some of them are now going to jail for years or decades. This guy does substantially the same thing.
Jamal Bowman's his
Jamal, yes.
Yeah.
From New York, correct? I'm pretty sure he's from New York.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust those New Yorkers.
No.
Jamal, I'm going to double check. Is he from New York? I mean, I'm all about being a Philadelphia sports fan, slandering New York, but I want to make sure that I get that right. Yep, New York 16th. New York 16th Congressional District. Where, by the way, in New York right now, they're in the middle of overturning their map for House seats, the congressional map, so that they can try to eliminate as many Republican congressmen as possible heading into the next cycle.
Some nice gerrymandering.
A nice gerrymanders in the works.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so why do we care about the rules when they don't? And you might say, well, Matt, we need to be the bigger people. We need to make sure that we're the guardians of law. You know, this is the kind of nonsense you hear people like Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie saying because they want you to believe that they believe it, even though they don't, especially Christie. There's a guy that was accused of closing a bridge because somebody wouldn't support him, and he wants to lecture the rest of us on civility and the right way to do things. All right, fatty. Look, justice is only justice if it's equal. That is the only way justice exists. If justice is not applied equally, then you dropping the hammer on your own guy because he might be guilty, you're not serving justice. You're just allowing the other side to get away with their criminality, with their unconstitutional behavior. And this, if you want to tie all this together with a Christmas bow here as we head down the final stretch of the first hour of tonight's program, this is why so many people, including even in New Hampshire, which is a relatively purple, moderish state, or centrist state, however you want to classify, why they're still with Trump. Because there are so many people, even like myself, I'll be honest with you, there's lots that I don't love about Donald Trump. There's things he says that annoys me. There's things he says I don't believe in. Certainly, I don't approve of everything the guy's done in his personal life, even though the Bidens make Donald Trump look like a Boy Scout, right? Most of the worst stuff they've wrongly accused Donald Trump of are stuff the Bidens actually did. It's called projection, right? Back to our psychology discussion from earlier in tonight's show. People like me have come around to Donald Trump because we're tired of the hypocrisy. We're tired of living in this simulation where we feel crazy because we always try to do the right thing and the other side never even pretends to care about this country. So Donald Trump has said, listen, enough's enough. I'm going to fight fire with fire. I'm not going to play by their rules. Case in point, I am going to say things that you're not supposed to say at the risk of being canceled. Because when Republicans try to play by the Democrats' rules, how well does it go for them? Ask Mitt Romney. Ask John McCain. Ask Bob Dole. Democrats love us when we're lovable losers. When we actually fight back, look what they're trying to do to Donald Trump. If you need an explanation for the poll numbers and why I believe at least most of what I'm saying, there you have it. Not complicated. Just maybe hard for some people to swallow. 855-839-1210 is the number here of the program. And again, on tonight's 3-hour show, as we come down the end of our numero uno, you can also watch live to confirm that I am indeed as handsome as I sound. You head over to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. You can watch, you can share it online, you can participate in the comments. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I never admit if I am, but you can try. You can try to argue with me. I don't think I've said anything tonight that's too outlandish so far, but we still have 2 full hours to go. And we do have, maybe we'll do it in the second hour, our list of the 10 best Christmas movies of all time. And of course, Henry will have his competing list, and we will fight like dogs in an alley.
Yeah, we're going to argue. I took a second look at your list, and yeah, we're going to argue.
We're going to argue?
Yeah.
We're going to throw down?
Absolutely.
Do I need to roll up the sleeves of my Christmas sweater?
Yeah, I'm going to probably go straight through the glass right here and go right at your throat.
It's great rodeo. Great rodeo. Great radio. That was a little bit of a Freudian slip there because it may look like a rodeo by the end of it as you hog tie me and hang me out the window because you disagree with my Christmas list. Look, I knew when I made this list too, as I was putting it together, I said, man, Henry, he has not seen some of these movies. He's not going to like some of these movies. There's one in particular I put on my list of most overrated that is going to trigger the heck out of anybody under 40.
Yes. I know it.
You know it.
I know it.
Yes.
It's gonna.
They're not going to be happy. And I will explain it. I always have an explanation, right? It's what I get paid to do. I'm a lawyer, right? I have to find a way to be able to, So
sense of it all.
Yeah, so we'll roll that out when we come to our second hour here in just a little bit. And we will also tonight get into as many other possible topics as we possibly can relating to the week going by to prepare you for the week ahead. We are going to talk a little bit more about immigration because I think it's a sleeper issue for the coming cycle. I want to talk a little bit about that Pennsylvania school district. You may have heard about this over the course of the last week that has allegedly ordered its bus drivers to remove Christmas decorations from buses. There's an interesting angle, too, that has not been widely reported about it that I want to share with you. It's gonna make you blow your fuse. Okay? You might actually short out your Christmas lights after I share this with you. We will also talk a little bit of New Jersey's election 2025. We elect a governor in New Jersey in 2025. We have these odd year elections, and there's no rest for the wicked. That's already heating up, and there's an interesting angle because one of the candidates' wives, who he's now separated from, is thinking of running for Senate against Phil Murphy's wife in 2024. New Jersey politics is going straight up TMZ in 2024, as if Bob Menendez being bribed with gold bars wasn't jumping the shark enough. We're just going full on crazy.
Full nepotism.
Well, that's the funny thing, though. It's really not, right? Because they're estranged. So apparently there's no collusion here. She wants to do it. He arguably, I'll explain why he maybe really, really, really shouldn't want her to do this. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit.
Okay.
As ever, I put together way too much information, way too many topics than any human, even one as talented as myself, could possibly get to in 3 hours. That's how you do it. We'll see what we can do, how many presents we can stuff down your chimney in the time that's allowed here on 1210 WPHT. Again, 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's take a break, and we'll be back with hour 2 in just a moment.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Can you imagine if a president of the United States did this today? JFK from 1962.
There is nothing more unfortunate than to have soft, chubby, fat-looking children.
JFK was ahead of his time. Tell your little chubby son to put the stinking iPad down, get out on the swing set, go out on the playground, scuff a knee, bust open your elbow, run around, sweat, get some dirt in your eyes, get off of YouTube.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. If you get a new tablet or cell phone this year, recycle your old one, either by donation or an e-waste program. When we each share one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The winter months are rolling in, and I'm excited to talk with you, though, about Rescue's natural supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health boosting products at under $20 to order? Call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. You'll speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, support overall well-being with Rescue's selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com today.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marbany Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you had a service technician out recently from one of the large private equity-owned HVAC companies? Did they tell you to replace equipment you thought was working fine? Did you know that their service technicians have quotas that they either meet or get fired? Whoops, that was a secret. Here's another secret. My 70-year-old family-owned company does not have quotas. My guys are there to fix, not sell. And that's why you can trust us. Contact us now at marvinycans.com.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
I'm Monica Ricks. Israel is facing more scrutiny over its military strategy in Gaza as the desperation there grows. CBS's Rami Inocencio has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Desperate Gazans in Rafah ransacked a UN aid truck just after it entered from Egypt. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also acknowledged Israel and Qatar have restarted hostage talks and engaged with the Egyptians. That came a day after Israel's military revealed its troops had mistakenly killed 3 hostages in Gaza. Calls to bring the rest of the hostages home have hit a new intensity.
The U.S. is also pushing Israel to scale back the war. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin meets with officials there tomorrow. Meantime, a woman who spent 54 days held hostage by Hamas is opening up about the ordeal. Yarden Romagat talked to 60 Minutes.
My kidnappers could not help themselves showing me off as a trophy and showing my face as an object. I was not a person.
About 100 Israeli hostages have been released so far. Still no deal in Washington on additional military funding for Ukraine and Israel. CBS's Skylar Henry.
Republicans are demanding sweeping new policies at the U.S. southern border before signing off on a bigger package that include funding for both Ukraine and Israel to help in their respective wars. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas joined a bipartisan group of negotiators at the Capitol, working through the weekend to find common ground on an agreement that could see sweeping changes to the immigration system.
And we are still working on more details, but South Korea says North Korea has just fired another ballistic missile off its east coast. This happening just hours after another missile test. A strong storm that's already hit Florida and the Carolinas is set to hit the Northeast by morning. CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson is tracking it.
You will be seeing wind gusts well inland from the coast of at least 40 to 50 miles an hour. And then right along the coast, those wind gusts could be 60 to 70 miles an hour or even stronger.
It could cause severe flooding and power outages. A fire destroyed a church near L.A. today, right before a Christmas play and big toy giveaway. Robert Garcia is a pastor at Victory Outreach in Pomona.
We had the kids prepare to play. They practiced all day yesterday, and they were ready today to show the play.
The cause is still unclear, but no one was hurt. And YouTuber Ruby Franke is reportedly set to enter a plea agreement tomorrow in Utah. The mommy blogger, who's known for her parenting advice, is accused of abusing and starving her 2 kids. She's been in jail since August. This is CBS News.
You don't need a job platform, you need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
The holidays are the happiest time of the year. That is, unless you or your loved ones are miserable because of colds, sinus infections, or allergies. This holiday season, give the gift of better breathing with Navage. Wash away your cold and congestion problems this holiday season. Add Navage to your gift list so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Buy them a Stihl. Save $30 on the BG56 CE handheld blower. Go to stihlusa.com/gift guide. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
Don't let a cold, sinus infections, or allergies ruin your holidays. Add Navage to your gift list so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com.
An elementary school in North Carolina came up with a way to keep kids in school and build their confidence.
Administrators at J.W. Kuhn Elementary School outside Fayetteville, North Carolina, noticed students were missing school because they didn't have clean clothes to wear. They teamed up with a major appliance maker to provide the school and students with the new commercial washer and dryer. School principal Tiana O'Brien.
If you don't look good, you don't feel good. You know, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you want to come to school.
School attendance has improved, with more students being able to take pride in having clean clothes. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
Maury Povich won the Daytime Emmys Lifetime Achievement Honor this weekend.
When it comes to 4-month-old Melina, TJ, you are the father.
The 84-year-old ended his talk show last year after 31 seasons. LeBron James also snagged a statue for his YouTube special on standing up to anti-Semitism. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the
Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Welcome back, my little Kringles, to a very merry pre-Christmas edition of the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT. I am the aforementioned Matt Rooney, beginning hour number 2 of 3 this evening on our wonderful station. Last show of 2023. Where did that year go, Henry? Flew on by.
Don't even
blink of an eye.
Don't even want to think about it yet.
Still too much to digest?
It's a lot to digest because they're just starting to go so fast. They're all starting to blend together.
And let me tell you something, my friend. The older you get, the quicker they go.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time, and it's just like I don't want it to be true.
It is.
It's something with like not being in school anymore either.
That's right.
It's just the monotony of going to work every day, doing the same things for the most part.
There is a magic point in the calendar. Because as a kid, or then as a young adult in school or whatever, you're always hoping for the next break. Right? That's what you're living for. The Christmas break, the summer vacation, the spring break, whatever. There comes a point in adulthood, usually when you have kids, when you say, you know what? I just like to hit the pause button and just stop. Or at least slow. Right? Like when you're like some of you tonight may be listening to the program on the Odyssey app. And I don't know if we have that capability, but sometimes when you're listening to a podcast or something, you could listen to a double speed or a quadruple speed, or you can actually slow it down. It's what you'd like to be able to do with life sometime. Just not possible. The Almighty did not give us that option. So you got to enjoy every moment. I hope that all of you are trying to at least compartmentalize to some degree the holiday hustle and bustle to be able to enjoy what's important this holiday season. And I am honored, even though this is the final Matt Rooney Show of 2023, that I will get to spend some time with you all over the course of the holiday season here on 1210. I will be filling in, along with Mary Walter, for Nick Kale on Kale & Company this Friday, the 22nd of December, 6 to 10 a.m. The amount of coffee I need to drink to be quasi-interesting at 6 o'clock in the morning, it'd be enough to kill a horse. But I'm going to do it because I'm dedicated to this station and dedicated to being with you all and informing you and entertaining you and keeping the conservative baton here at 1210 held high and marching forward over the course of the holiday season. And then I'll be in with Rich Zioli a couple times the following week. And I guess it means I get to hang out with Henry and maybe Matt.
Yeah, we'll
find out.
We're still hammering out the details. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll work it out. So, and you can also next week, but also tonight, head over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. You can watch live via YouTube. You can participate in the comments. You can check it out. You can opine on whether or not you like what I'm talking about this evening, even though I won't particularly care. Jimmy is, looks like he's not happy I'm talking so much about my vacation. Maybe he's jealous he hasn't gotten to take a vacation recently. Got to work it in, my man. You got to take the time. I know it's hard in this age of Biden hyperinflation to be able to swing it, but you got to do it, even if it's something local and easy. Just get away. Go to the Poconos.
Yeah. All work and no play makes Matt Rooney a dull boy.
It does. Well, and we were talking about in the first hour, right, Henry? You part of the reason you have to enjoy the holidays and lose yourself in it a little bit. Part of the reason you have to occasionally get away, even if you're on a budget, it's something cheap, is because you can't be in this stuff all the time. There's a reason why, back to Jimmy complaining about my vacation and me talking about it, there's a reason why the Matt Rooney Show, and every host does it a little differently, I don't talk about just politics for 3 hours. You know, we were all going to Christmas parties this time of year, right? And inevitably, you're going to get cornered by that guy or that gal that is going to lecture you on something you don't want to talk about. And you are going to constantly, well, maybe you do what I do, try to make eye contact with your spouse to get them to come and save you. My wife kind of has a sick sense of humor. God love her. So sometimes she sees me in danger and she'll just kind of like leave me there and see if I can work my way out of it. But I mean, look, if you want to tune in to a radio show where they talk about nothing but tax brackets and abortion and impeachment for 3 hours, you have so many options. Go get it. You do you, as the millennials say. It's not what I like to do. You see my sweater. I believe that part of the problem that this country has right now is the lack of levity in our lives. We are too serious. Not that we're not living through incredibly serious times. There are issues of great moment. There are issues of tremendous gravity we need to address. We've talked about a couple in the first hour. We're going to talk about more before tonight's program is done. But we have to learn to laugh again. We have to learn to like each other again, at least to some degree. And it's one of the ways, for those of you that are interested in talking tactics, and I'm all about having political tactical discussions, it's one of the ways we differentiate ourselves from the left. They are humorless. They are obsessed, right? I think it was Byron York, one of my favorite political analysts on Twitter, who wrote a book called Obsessed about the left's quest to take on Donald Trump and remove him, not just from office, but from public life and the public discourse altogether. They're really boorish people. They're that bore you run into at your Christmas party and can't get away from. So let's provide somewhat of a contrast to them, not just this holiday season, but 24/7, 365. So if I accomplish nothing else on the Matt Rooney Show during the 3 hours I get every week, or when I'm filling in on other programs, or when we return in 2024, every Sunday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, I'm happy with that. I'm content. That's my goal. Squad goal, Henry? Life goal? I don't know what the phraseology
Squad
is.
goal.
I hate when people say that. Does the Gen Zers such as yourself still say squad goal?
Oh, I feel like that's more like millennial, if anything.
That's more millennial?
That sounds more like a millennial type thing, like squad goals. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't be surprised if
Why don't we get our group on and go out and
oh dude, you're speaking millennial right now. Groupon,
yeah. Remember those things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were a thing.
Never had to
They were a
use them.
thing that people did.
Yeah. That's the millennial thing.
I'm a bad millennial, though. I've talked about this before. There's actually a subcategory, Henry. And if we've had this discussion, I apologize. They're calling it Zennial. And I believe I'm a Zennial. I was born in 1984. So even though I'm technically a millennial, they usually make the cutoff 1982. Zennials are older millennials that share a lot of characteristics with Gen X. Like, for example, I did not have a cell phone until I was a junior, senior in high school when I could drive, and it was a Gordon Gecko phone. Some of our listeners know what I'm talking about. The younger folks listen to our show, not so much, but it was like in a little zip bag, and you take it out. It looked like something you would see like a South American drug lord using when he's standing in the middle of a poppy field, trying to communicate with his airplane that's like bringing in a shipment.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
You picking up what I'm putting down here? Yeah. So that was my phone. And when I did get one, it could make a phone call and you could send a text message. It did not have internet. I didn't have social media until I was in college. I still remember the conversation. It was sophomore year of college. My roommate walking in and saying, "Hey, Matt, there's this thing called the Facebook." It wasn't Facebook. It was the Facebook.
Right.
You should really sign up for it. And me, being always ahead of the curve and a genius, said, "Wow, that sounds really stupid. That's not going anywhere." And I don't think I signed up until junior year or something when everybody else was doing it. You still needed a college email account at that point to get on there, which probably limited the amount of perverts and weirdos that were on the platform.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I remember. I've seen The Social Network. I can picture it.
I've seen the documentary about that ancient long ago time you occupied, Matt. Yeah. So I think I'm really a Zennial, right? Those of us who we eventually moved into the virtual plugged in internet world, but we didn't have digital childhoods. Our childhoods were very much analog. I went out and I rode a bike, and I would leave my house if I didn't have school as early as I could, and I would not come home until dinner time or later if I could get away with it. We played in the woods. We built forts. I grew up near a creek. We set little traps to try to catch animals, you know. We tried to build a Huck Finn raft one time, and one of us fell in. We had to pull the guy out of the water. That's what I did as a kid. Yes, we did have video games. I had Duck Hunt. That was one of my favorite games, but it wasn't what oriented our day-to-day lives as children. That's changed, especially for millennials that are really just a little bit younger than me. So that was my long-winded way, Henry, of saying I'm moving away from the millennial label. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to be associated with those people.
Okay. No, I get what you're
I'm a
saying.
hybrid.
I kind of feel that way in some respects with like, Gen Z, because I'm technically like an older part of the Gen Z generation.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of kids didn't have, say, like a flip phone or like a slide phone, as their first phone. It's straight to iPhone nowadays,
Remember the flip phone? That was kind of
Yeah.
kind of fun. I also, when the internet did come into being, the modem, I miss the modem noise.
Oh, the startup?
I love the startup noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made it feel like something was happening. I went to law school for a reason. I don't have a science brain, so the idea that we now have these wireless connections with humans all over the world to remote servers that are housed God knows where and in the middle of a desert and air-conditioned facility, it's all very difficult to wrap one's mind around. When you heard the modem, it made the whole thing very concrete. I liked that. There was something comforting about it.
Yeah, get off the phone. I'm trying to use the internet, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That was life for me when I was in high school. I remember it fondly. Christmas is a time for nostalgia. And we will have more nostalgia on tonight's program, in addition to the politics we need to get to. Henry and I will at some point debate our top 10 Christmas movies of all time lists. See, I keep wanting to ask Henry about his, but I'm trying to keep our powder dry because I had another big question about a certain action movie that some consider a Christmas movie and others do not.
Oh, I have a take on a similar movie.
On a similar movie.
Like in that same vein. In my opinion, it is.
Okay. Well, your opinion counts.
Yeah.
You know that I'm big on this program with empowering you young people, Henry.
It's controversial. And if people listen to Zioli's show, you probably know where I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Well, there's some members of the Zioli army on this show. Rich once pointed out that I was an honorary Zioli brigadier general.
Mm-hmm.
I said colonel. He said general. From the words of the supreme commander himself.
You should dress up like Napoleon almost when you fill in for his show.
Maybe I will. I'll get the hat. I haven't seen that, by the way.
Yeah.
The first thing that goes, Henry, when you have kids, if you ever do, going to see movies.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's, you're going to see Super Mario or something like that. You don't, because if you and your spouse do get a night out, especially in this day and age when everybody's got big screen TVs, like you're not gonna waste it on going to a movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to dinner. You're gonna do something that you really can do with children.
Gotcha.
Right?
Makes sense.
So I've everything I have to wait for it to come out now.
I heard it's
You're
not good.
That's an actual rating, by the way.
Yeah, like
there's good, there's bad, and there's
like because I was with friends this weekend and they all saw it and they were like, I don't even know what we're watching.
That terrible, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Well, we can get into this in a different time. Maybe we can save this for one of the weekday shows coming up over the holidays. But Hollywood loves to get down on the love story, which I understand. They do their marketing. They have to try to get the ladies to come to the theater.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, when the guy says, "Can you come see a movie about Napoleon with me?" they're going to wince. So I get it from a marketing point of view. But that's hardly the most interesting thing about Napoleon.
Yeah, and I've heard it. Napoleon's doing a little bit more than loving.
Oh,
we'll say that much.
Interesting.
And it just sporadically pops up.
Hey, Nat. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Hollywood leading the way and taking our culture into the toilet.
Ridley Scott, man, I don't know what he was thinking, but
yeah, I mean, he didn't really have that in Gladiator.
No.
Maybe he's trying to keep up.
Trying something new.
Yeah,
he made a movie. He's like, you like it or you don't. I don't care.
Well, he's got to be up there now, too, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, he's older now.
He's an old guy. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. Again, if you want to watch online, you can do that. You don't need your dial-up modem. We got the wireless now. You can head over to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We're going to take our first break of the second hour, but when we come back, we got plenty more to talk about, including Christmas inflation. It looks like the Middle Eastern world war, which is fomented on Joe Biden's watch, may be about to spread. There's a surge in homelessness, all kinds of holly jolly stuff on the docket this evening, thanks in large part to the fact that we are led by idiots, morons, socialist thieves, and all around bad people in Washington, D.C., Trenton, and Harrisburg. But we will do the best we can to try to make sense of the senseless on tonight's Matt Rooney Show. Again, 855-839-1210. Don't move a muscle. We'll be back in a second.
Rich Zeoli.
For God's sake, we don't need Rich's running commentary during a live news event. Just shut your pie hole for once. Geesh, what has the station devolved to? Here's the thing. My show, my rules. If I want to talk over this, I'm talking over this. Marcus Aurelius says, I like Rich's running commentary at the press conference, but then again, I like the smell of bus fumes. That's fair. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate that.
Rich Zeoli, weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
PennDOT reopens part of 202, but traffic remains a problem in King of Prussia due to sinkholes. Philadelphia wins a $16 million federal grant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in parts of North Philadelphia. Eagles announced quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable for Monday's game against the Seahawks.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? Start at PI Dental Center. With the latest in digital technology to state-of-the-art treatment, PI Dental Center is a full-service practice. 2 board-certified specialists, Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, are originators of the Teeth in a Day protocol, a revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth on the same day as the implants are placed. Hey, I've been a patient of PI Dental for over 20 years, and now is the time for you to invest in yourself. Visit PIDentalCenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The winter months are rolling in, and I'm excited to talk with you, though, about Rescue's natural supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health boosting products at under $20? To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. You'll speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, support overall well-being with Rescue selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com today.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marvin Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you had a service technician out recently from one of the large private equity-owned HVAC companies? Did they tell you to replace equipment you thought was working fine? Did you know that their service technicians have quotas that they either meet or get fired? Whoops, that was a secret. Here's another secret. My 70-year-old family-owned company does not have quotas. My guys are there to fix, not sell. And that's why you can trust us. Contact us now at marvinycans.com.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Get into the holiday spirit and listen to Philly's official Christmas station, B101, for all the sounds of the season, from Mariah to the holiday classics.
It's the most wonderful.
Plus, keep rocking around the Christmas tree no matter where you are with B101 on the free Odyssey app. Turning your home into a winter wonderland? Ask your smart speaker to play B101 Philly. Enjoy the holiday season your way on the radio, on your smart speaker, and on the free Odyssey app.
Don't let them silence you. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
So during the break, I crammed a review of sex scenes in Napoleon.
Yeah,
does seem like an interesting movie.
That's what my friends were telling me. They just are there. in the movie.
I think HBO has, for better and for worse, probably for worse in a lot of ways, kind of pushed the boundaries on normalizing pornography in entertainment. I think in order to sufficiently shock audiences and subvert their expectations and get interest in some of these movies now, even things that are supposed to be historical works, right? Like a biographical movie about Napoleon, they have to kind of almost go like HBO Game of Thrones level of porn now. At least that's what they think they need to do to make people find it interesting. And maybe there is something to be said for that. I don't know. But then at the same time, you see these other surveys, Henry, that suggest that millennials and even more so Gen Z aren't that interested in sex. They're not that into it. I've seen survey after survey after survey. If you don't believe me, don't do it on a work computer, I guess, but go to the Google and look it up. It's not something Gen Z likes to do.
What do you mean?
Not a lot of mistletoe at some of these parties this year, I guess.
I'd kind of refute that statement.
Would you?
But I mean, yeah, that's coming from me.
Hey there, it's coming from me. I think that
it might be anecdotal here, but
oh, hey, we're learning something about Henry tonight.
I would refute that statement.
All right, I'm just saying that's what the surveys suggest. That younger Americans are less interested in drinking and fornicating.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about polls again. You're talking about more polls.
Look, all right. Look, I don't need to do a poll of Henry's personal life.
I'm just saying. What are the numbers? What
I'll tell you what. I won't just do that thing that people do where they say, "Well, I saw something." I will get you the articles.
Okay.
I will get you the articles and I will send them to you. And if the Odyssey filter does not get rid of it, you'll be able to look at them.
All right, cool.
We'll make that happen. Speaking of our culture quickly degrading and the subject of sex, this Dem staffer on Capitol Hill that produced a sex video on Capitol Hill. Have you seen this thing, Henry? Oh my God.
I did see something about it. I tried not to look too much into it because I was like, I'm gonna hear it at some point this upcoming week. So
it's 8:28 in the East. So I'm thinking most of you have had dinner at this point. But if you're still noshing, I just want to make sure you have a trigger warning here. This is from the Washington Times. A Capitol Hill staffer accused of filming himself having gay sex in a congressional hearing room has been separated from his job in Senator Ben Cardin's office. I like the phraseology there, separated from his job. We just can't say fired anymore. It's one of my writing pet peeves. Less words, the better. Generally speaking. I know that seems like odd commentary from a radio host, but there you go. A spokesman for Mr. Cardin, who's a Democrat, by the way, said it was a personnel matter. Aiden Mazie Serposki, I think that's how you pronounce it, is no longer employed by the U.S. Senate. We'll have no further comment on this personnel matter. The pornographic video was posted online Friday showing two men having sex on the dais of a Senate hearing room. So, not that it would really make it that much better, but it's not like this was just happening in some broom closet somewhere on the Capitol, or under the Capitol Dome, I should say. This is apparently up on the dais of a hearing room, which, not that this is necessarily the most obscene thing we've ever seen in a Senate committee. Usually just the Senate committees themselves and the people that populate them are enough to turn your stomach, but apparently this happened too. And according to the Daily Caller, which was the first to report the footage, a congressional staffer shot the act inside the Senate Judiciary Room, located inside the Hart Senate office building. The room is known for hosting Supreme Court confirmation hearings, lower court appointments, and, of course, oversight of the Justice Department and the FBI. The incident reportedly took place on the dais between where Democratic Senators Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota and Chris Coons of Delaware sat at a recent committee meeting. So I'm assuming that those senators are urging the Senate Sergeant at Arms to very thoroughly clean their committee seats.
A lot of Clorox wipes.
I mean, you probably should just burn the seats and get new ones at this point. That would be my recommendation, but, and I don't consider myself that much of a germaphobe, but you could probably sell the seats for something.
Oh, yeah.
At this point.
Put
them in the Smithsonian.
It is, something you shouldn't do at your place of work, it is it is kind of funny and cool that they did that. I'm sorry, it is. I mean, how many people can say they did that, right? Like, you'll never guess where I did it. I have proof too.
In the Senate Judiciary Committee room.
And I have proof.
Well, I mean, and also, to be completely fair to these two gentlemen that were, going to town on one another here, Amy Klobuchar, knowing that you're in her seat, I mean, that's enough to get any man's motor running. Amy Klobuchar, famous beauty that she is.
Oh, man.
With that Minnesota twang.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah? Don't you know? 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show this evening. Again, you can head over to YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT if you want to watch online or you want to contribute in the comments. Unsurprisingly, Gmail says, can you change the subject? With not a frowny face, but the disturbed face with the back score. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. we should probably change the subject.
It's a difficult thing to talk about, I'd say.
It's a little bit much. But look, this is what's out there. Right? This is what's out there. And I told you we have to talk about it because it exists. I mentioned earlier that there may be impeachment hearings coming up in that Senate chamber in the not too distant future, potentially 5 Democrat senators interested in at least considering impeachment. Democrats, their narratives, not just on impeachment, but on other topics, continue to erode. And I want to talk particularly about immigration when we come back from the next break, because a governor is now sending National Guard to the border to protect the citizens of this governor's state. And spoiler alert, it ain't a Republican. It's the Democrat governor of Arizona. A good look for Joe Biden when governors of his own party need to defend the country from the border that he refuses to secure? Does that sound like somebody that's getting ready to cruise to re-election? I don't care how many ballots they stuff, folks. The issues are becoming increasingly challenging for the incumbent in this election, and the polls, at least as of now, I think bear that out. Let's take a quick break, play some ads to make some money because we are capitalists here on the Matt Rooney Show, and we'll be back with that immigration breaking story and a whole lot more in just a moment.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Pennsylvanians' most searched term for Pornhub was big boobs. If you have a kid in the car, turn the radio down. There's a lot of graphic search terms for other states. So Pennsylvania, you should feel proud. You are relatively conservative when it comes to your searching.
Yep. Okay,
You
so
just like big
Pennsylvanians
chests.
like big boobs.
Right.
And we're not talking about the politicians here.
That's correct. We just elect those.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
PennDOT reopens part of 202, but traffic remains a problem in King of Prussia due to sinkholes. Philadelphia wins a $16 million federal grant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in parts of North Philadelphia. Eagles announce quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable for Monday's game against the Seahawks.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
PennDOT reopens part of 202, but traffic remains a problem in King of Prussia due to sinkholes. Philadelphia wins a $16 million federal grant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in parts of North Philadelphia. Eagles announce quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable for Monday's game against the Seahawks.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? Start at PI Dental Center. With the latest in digital technology to state-of-the-art treatment, PI Dental Center is a full-service practice. 2 board-certified specialists, Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, are originators of the Teeth in a Day protocol, a revolutionary revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth on the same day as the implants are placed. Hey, I've been a patient of PI Dental for over 20 years, and now is the time for you to invest in yourself. Visit PIDentalCenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The winter months are rolling in, and I'm excited to talk with you, though, about Rescue's Natural Supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health boosting products at under $20? To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. You'll speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, support overall well-being with Rescue's selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com today.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marbany Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you had a service technician out recently from one of the large private equity-owned HVAC companies? Did they tell you to replace equipment you thought was working fine? Did you know that their service technicians have quotas that they either meet or get fired? Whoops, that was a secret. Here's another secret. My 70-year-old family-owned company does not have quotas. My guys are there to fix, not sell. And that's why you can trust us. Contact us now at marvinycans.com.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Get into the holiday spirit and listen to Philly's official Christmas station, B101, for all the sounds of the season, from Mariah to the holiday classics.
It's the most wonderful.
Plus, keep rocking around the Christmas tree no matter where you are with B101 on the free Odyssey app. Turning your home into a winter wonderland? Ask your smart speaker to play B101 Philly. Enjoy the holiday season your way on the radio, on your smart speaker, and on the free Odyssey app.
Calling on North Wales to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Never been the world's biggest Beach Boy fan, but a great Christmas song.
I love this song, but people hate it, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Who are these people?
Well, my parents, for one. They don't like it. I don't think Rich is a big fan either, because I think I've played this song once or twice.
Worst Christmas song that gets a lot of play? Wonderful Christmas Time.
You don't like Paul McCartney?
Listen, I like Paul McCartney. I do not love him like many people do.
Yeah.
The Beatles, to me, are significant because they were first, not because they're the best.
All right.
Right? I recognize the historic significance of the Beatles. Some of their stuff is great, but,
I get what you're saying, yeah.
There's artists who, if I look at their catalog as a percentage, I think it's much better. Right? So setting that aside for a second, it is the most dreary, depressing song of all time. It's what I would imagine freezing to death sounds like.
It's more depressing than Lennon's song?
Simply having like it's
more. It's war is over. More depressing than that. I mean, I don't.
Well,
think
that's pretty bad.
That's what I'm
too.
saying. Like, I don't
yeah, the
think it's
Beatles
most
just should have
depressing-
stayed away from Christmas.
Yeah.
Pointing out the other one's bad doesn't make Paul's
I'm just saying,
contribution
I
any
don't
better.
think it's the most depressing song by the Beatles.
Well, we know that those guys had some heat.
Of course.
So maybe they were trying to compete for the Christmas song that made the most amount of people want to commit suicide at the holidays. Maybe that's what they were aiming at.
You think that's an effective marketing tactic? I mean, you're eliminating your listening audience.
I'm not saying it's good marketing. I'm just saying that I'm trying to find a logical explanation, Henry, and I'm coming up short. Look, folks, just one man's opinion. You don't have to love it. I also am not a big fan of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. We talked about that earlier. It's overplayed, though. I think that's
the why people don't like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's – I prefer what's the one? She used to be with No Doubt, Gwen Stefani.
Mm-hmm.
The one she does with her hubby, I think, is pretty good. You Make Me Feel Like Christmas.
I don't know if
It's got a little Christmas twang thing going on there.
Okay.
I also like Kelly Clarkson's. I don't remember what it's called.
I feel like
That's all I remember.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called,
I don't
but
know what it's called.
I prefer that.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
But I mean, the thing about All I Want for Christmas is that the lyrics are great to sing to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're drunk at a bar and there's a bunch of people and it's Christmas time, it's very easy to get a bunch of drunks to mouth the words.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the song. 855-839-1210 is the number if you want to call in and participate on tonight's program. I promise we talk about this in the other end of the break, and I want to. Arizona governor, this is from Reuters, by the way, a Democrat, offers National Guard to the border. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs on Friday ordered National Guard troops to the border with Mexico, saying the U.S. federal government's recent decision to close a legal port of entry in her state has led to, and this is a quote, has led to an unmitigated humanitarian crisis. This is a Democrat governor, a liberal woman. You can tell by how thick her glasses are. I'm saying this is a male that wears thick black glasses, but it is an undeniable law of nature that the thicker and the darker a woman's plastic glasses are, the more liberal she probably is. Henry's thinking about this because he's trying to see whether or not my theorem has validity, but it does. It's an attempt to show intelligence.
I agree with that.
Yes.
I think there might be a bipartisan thing, though.
You think so?
Yeah. I think anyone would do that to look smarter.
Lots of people do.
More educated. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's...
But specifically in the political arena. Just take a look at it.
Okay.
Think about it. The next time we're together, you tell me whether or not I'm just making stuff up. But I think you'll end up agreeing with me. Even Reuters says this, and Reuters, as you well know, is not exactly the Daily Wire. It's not a conservative outlet. It was a notable rebuke, they say, of President Joe Biden by a fellow Democrat as border security is shaping up to be a major issue in the 2024 presidential campaign, with Joe Biden seeking re-election next November. And you got to check out Hobbs's actual statement, because again, the thing that's remarkable about this, Democrat, and we are on the eve of a presidential cycle. We are weeks away from the first votes to decide who will be the president of the United States, beginning in January 25. Yet again, Hobbs said in her statement, the federal government is refusing to do its job to secure our border and keep our communities safe. Does that sound like a Democrat governor who's expecting to run for re-election in a state that votes for Joe Biden? We know Arizona was a swing state last time, famously. They see which way the wind is blowing. And Reuters is not wrong. They're wrong about much. But immigration, if you look at the latest polling, there's those polls again, but what else do we have to look at this far out? There is a strong trend in the polling that Americans are becoming more concerned with the border. And not just concerned and aligning with the Republican position, but the issue is moving up in their order of priority. You now have, according to one recent survey, a majority of Americans believing that a wall should be built. The wall that they mocked Donald Trump for attempting to construct and finish, a strong majority now support doing so. You just got to look at the stats. The numbers tell the story as they so often do. And the numbers are particularly harrowing when it comes to the border crisis. Here's just a few for you. Illegal border crossings at present are about 10,000 a day on the southern border. 10,000 a day. To give you a little bit of perspective, There are a lot of towns in South Jersey, like let's take Haddonfield, New Jersey, for those that are familiar with that relatively affluent Philadelphia suburb, famous for their Christmas lights and their cute little downtown. It's about 10,000 people in that town. So you have basically a Haddonfield a day crossing the southern border. 5,000 illegal immigrants are being released into the country every day. Released. That's the key word there. We're not talking about the getaways who escape into the country. These are ones that are actually being released by the administration. They're cutting through gaps in the border barriers, and smugglers and traffickers that commit horrible crimes against humanity, against women, against children, are having a field day. Their business is thriving thanks to the Biden administration's lax approach to border security. There are now a record number of individuals, a record, on the terror watch list that are actively attempting to gain entry into the United States. We know, and Katie Hobbs mentioned this, kind of, sort of, in her statement that was released, the governor of Arizona, a Democrat, that federal facilities are at their breaking point. Some are already broken. Some of these facilities are at 200% capacity. That's a lot for those of you who aren't too hot with math. About 1,100 illegal immigrant families have reportedly been separated at the southern border since just September 2023. Remember when the orange man was in office, evil Donald Trump, and they were crying about kids in cages and families being separated, and these evil, awful Republicans that are engaging in an unspeakable cruelty towards these folks from Central and South America that are just looking for a better life? Well, it's ramping up under Joe Biden. It's ramping up. So what are Democrats doing to fix this? What are they doing to address it? Obviously nothing. They don't even pretend to care, which is one of the interesting dimensions to this immigration debate, which is likely to be fairly prominent as we head into a 2024 presidential cycle. Because most of the time in politics, Team Blue says one thing, Team Red says another, right? I think we should raise taxes. I think we should lower taxes. I think we should go to war. I think we should not go to war. I think we should allow abortions. I think we should not allow, whatever the issue might be. This is not an issue Democrats even pretend to have a plan to address. Quite the opposite. They are open, most of them, not some like Katie Hobbs that are in purple territory that are worried about their jobs. They can see which way the wind's blowing, right? But most of them aren't even pretending to care about a solution. They think a solution to this problem is actually racist. Let me give you an example. Henry, this is cut number one. This is Democrat Joaquin Castro. I think he's out in California. Most of the worst nuts are. Who he participated in a press conference and he said that border security measures are actually tantamount to surrendering to right-wing racism. Listen to this. How do you think that is going to play in Arizona, Henry, in 2024?
Probably not that well.
Probably not that well. Plenty of time left on the clock, so to speak. We don't know what's going to happen in the months to come, right? That's why we don't assign too much seriousness to polling and all these other measures of how a campaign's going until the very end, if at all. But for purple state, border state citizens who are going to play a very large role in who the next president of the United States is, right? Out there in, well, Nevada's not a border state, but it's out in that part of the country, right? Certainly Arizona, Texas, Democrats are always hoping it is going to be a swing state. No evidence of that happening quite yet, right? But they're hoping it will be, and they want to make inroads there. Who does that message appeal to? No one in their right mind, and I don't think a vast majority of Americans. So I look forward to seeing them fail, certainly, because I want the right to prevail, because I believe the right's ideas are superior, better for our country, better for the security of this nation. Of course, I don't like that we have to go through months more of horrible decision making, which is putting people in danger. And by the way, when I say people are in danger, I'm not just talking about native-born Americans, right? The people that are most often terrorized by the negative byproducts of unrestricted illegal immigration are, wait for it, other immigrants, recent arrivals who are living in barrios in certain sections of the country, particularly in border states. They're living in communities where there are large numbers of recent immigrants who are being preyed upon by these bad actors, by these gang members, by these drug cartel members, by these coyotes who perpetrate violent crime. So Democrats who tell us so much they care about the weak, the oppressed, the economically vulnerable, here is yet another example of a policy, and you can find parallels in education and every other arena, regular old domestic economics. They say they care, but they don't, because their policies produce the exact opposite result. I've been neglecting the phones all night, Henry, and I know some people have been complaining about this. So, I'm not one of these hosts that just likes to sit on the horn all night, not because I don't love hearing from you folks, but it has to be something, again, what's the theme? Something we're interested in talking about.
Correct.
It's our show. You don't like it? Start a podcast, right? But let's talk to Alex from Swarthmore, who is on the line and has been very patient. Alex, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thanks for calling into the Matt Rooney Show.
Right back at you. I am enjoying your show. I've been a conservative since 1964 when I campaigned for Barry Goldwater at the age of 12. And when Barry Goldwater basically stood up at the Republican convention in 64 and said, extremism in defense of liberty
is no vice.
Is no vice. And that was called the actual birth of the conservative movement in America. That was considered the time that the conservatism really stood for something.
A senator from Arizona. We're talking about Arizona here. And I agree with you. You don't get Ronald Reagan without Barry Goldwater.
Recently, I was berated by a group of black people for I came out that I said I was a Zionist. I'm a pro-Zionist. And boy, if you want to get their feathers ruffled, just say that, because they have that radio station. I'm not going to mention what it is, but that's all they ever talk about is how they hate Zionism all day long. That's all they talk about on the stations. Like,
let's back up for something, because I just want to understand.
Sure.
Because you said a group of black, like who are we talking about? A particular radio show or radio station?
Yeah, radio show. They had 4 or 5 people on, and they were all basically gone off on how Zionists are the worst possible things you could say about Zionists. I mean, they were basically really saying some really terrible things, and I had the I basically called up and I said I'm a Zionist, and they said, why are you a Zionist? And I said, because it says in the scriptures, I am God the Father, and I dwelleth in Zion, and if it's good enough for God, it's good enough for me. And that's the way I feel about it. I'm not going to take sides against God. I know what's in the scriptures. I know what Zion is. Now, most people don't know what the word Zionism means. If you were to ask me what Zionism means, it's a very deep-seated meaning in religion, but specifically it means the right of the Jewish people to have their homeland where it is, in Israel. And they were planted there and never to be plucked out again, it says in the scriptures. Once I plant my people there, in the end times, they will never again once be plucked out.
Well, let me reframe this a little bit, Alex. And I appreciate, by the way, you calling 1210 WPHT. I'm not familiar with the program that you're referring to, but I don't think you need to get that deep, right, into the religious aspect of all of this. Not that I'm not a religious person, but we don't need to even get into the definition of Zionism. The situation in Israel is quite simple. All you need to do is recognize the fact that you have 2 neighbors, and one neighbor is willing to let the other side exist, and the other neighbor is not willing to let the neighbor exist. It's really all it boils down to at this point, right? I mean, we can debate, and it has been debated who was there first, what the history of the region is. Of course, we can, go on and on and on about how, yes, there have been Jewish people in the region that's referred to as Palestine for millennia. But I mean, at this point, is that really what's relevant? What's relevant is that people have a right to exist. We hear the left use that phraseology all the time. Certainly that should apply to the Jewish nation, right? And Jewish people that are living in that part of the world. But their humanity is denied by Hamas, not just in Hamas's actions, but also in Hamas's actual charter, which calls for the elimination of the Jewish people. So I'm not aware of this radio show that Alex is referring to. I don't know which one he was talking about. I don't know if it's.
I don't listen to radio.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, I mean, who would listen to radio, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not big into radio. But I will say this. I had this pulled for the stack tonight. A majority of Americans 18 to 24, this is from the New York Post, think Israel should be ended and given to Hamas. That's a poll. A majority of young Americans, according to the Post, said they believe Israel should be ended and given to Hamas. The survey conducted this week by Harvard-Harris Polling, which is a fairly mainstream outlet, found 51% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 24 said they believe the long-term answer to the Israel-Palestinian conflict was for Israel to be ended and given to Hamas and the Palestinians. The figure was in stark contrast to other age groups, which all dramatically preferred the two-state solution. Just 4% of Americans over 65, for example, felt that they thought Israel should be ended. Only 32% of this particular young age group we're referring to in this survey favored the two-state solution, and just 17% thought that other Arab states should absorb Palestinian populations. And you know what this is all about, right? This is not complicated. Do I think that a majority of young Americans are racist, bigoted, whatever? No, I don't. This is the end game of the victimization doctrine, the ideology of the left polluting the brains of young Americans. All they see in all contexts, sociological, political, in this case, geopolitics, they see aggressor and they see victim. And they always side with whatever the left's narrative dictates is the victim. And in this case, the victim, in their mind, according to the narrative, are the Palestinians. So they are siding with the Palestinians. One of the absurdities of this victimization ideology is clearly there's no room for nuance, right? But they think truly that situation is analogous to what you see overseas with, or in our own country with, some of the BLM protests we had in 2020. We got to fix the education system. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Hour number 2 behind us. Hour number 3 lies ahead. Still going to try to get to a lot more substantive material, but we also have a little bit of Christmas fun too, including our top 10 greatest Christmas movies of all time list here on the Matt Rooney Show. Quick break, get some coffee, pop some popcorn. Back in just a moment.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
Monday, the UN's World Food Program says more than half the population in Gaza is starving.
There are also about 130 hostages, including Americans, still being held captive by Hamas. 36-year-old Yarden Roman Gott was one of them. She tells 60 Minutes she spent 54 brutal days in captivity.
I was in pajamas and my clothes tried to swipe off my body. And it was one of the most frightening moments.
She says she's opening up about her ordeal in hopes of bringing others home. North Korea is not happy over the arrival today of an American nuclear-powered submarine in South Korea. Reporter Alex Jensen.
North Korea appears to have test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile, just as South Korea predicted could happen within this month. Just hours earlier, the North also launched a short-range ballistic missile and released a statement blaming US and South Korean military gangsters for raising tensions and attempting to ignite a nuclear war.
Former President Trump tackled immigration and border security today at a rally in Reno.
Before we defend the borders of foreign countries, we have to get our act together. We have to be able to do it for ourselves.
It comes as Senate Republicans push for more border funding in exchange for foreign military aid. Strong storms are now making their way up the East Coast and could pummel parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast tomorrow morning. Molly McCullum's with the Weather Channel.
Flooding is going to be a problem both from heavy rain and water rising along the coastlines. We could see 3 to 5 inches of rain, and that will certainly cause flooding. Some snow on the backside of this system, but that will be very limited. Strong winds also could bring down trees and cause power outages.
Right now, thousands are in the dark in the Carolinas. And no one won the Powerball last night, which means the jackpot is now up to $535 million, the highest it's been since someone scored that near $2 billion prize in October. This is CBS News.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
This holiday season, give them a steal. Save $40 on the HSA 45 battery-powered hedge trimmer. Go to steelusa.com/gift guide. Now $99.99 was $139.99 MSRP. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
Don't let a cold, sinus infections, or allergies ruin your holidays. Add Navage to your gift list so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
Please be done.
over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In a world's first discovery, Australian researchers have found a drug that stops the progression of type 1 diabetes.
A near-year-long trial has revealed a common arthritis drug, baricitinib, resulted in type 1 diabetics no longer needing insulin injections. But the real trial is still ahead, according to Professor Thomas Kay.
That really involves navigating the regulatory process, working with the company that makes the drug and with the Food and Drug Administration in the US.
He says they'll do another trial if it'll help get the drug over the line. Scott Mayman for CBS News, Canberra, Australia.
Here at home, a diabetic's worst nightmare.
My name is Willy Wonka.
Wonka debuted with $39 million in ticket sales for a sweet spot atop the domestic box office. The Hunger Games came in second place this week with $5.8 million. The Boy and the Heron was third with $5.1 million in ticket sales. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Breaking news out of Delaware, Henry. A car collided with a motorcade SUV that was part of President Joe Biden's security detail on Sunday. That's according to a Reuters eyewitness. Television footage showed Secret Service agents escorting Biden to his car after the impact. Someone remarked online that the president looked dumbstruck. When does he not look dumbstruck? How can you tell the difference at this point? The car, which sustained damage to its bumper, was quickly surrounded by police. I bet if it was an accident, I feel really bad for whoever it was because their life is effectively over.
Yeah, just texting and driving. Got to send this out real quick.
Yeah.
Got to check my fantasy lineup. Oh, man, am I losing?
Oh, man, I hit the presidential motorcade. They're apparently safe, Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. And then, of course, this story, I never understand why they think we care about this. Biden and his wife had just left his campaign headquarters after having a meal of pasta with tomato sauce with members of his re-election team. Isn't that a weird thing to order in when you're at a campaign office having a meeting?
Yeah, it's a little messy. don't you
Yeah.
think?
When you're having a campaign meeting, you order like pizza or something you eat with your hands.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Isn't going to get all over you.
Yeah, something you don't really need like a napkin for.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't really get it. Welcome back to hour 3 of 3 here on the Matt Rooney Show this evening. Grateful to have you all with us. I hope that even though I had to drive in this nonsense tonight, you're home, warm, cozy, maybe looking at your Christmas tree, enjoying its annual glow that we all look forward to. Maybe you have a fire going, burning some logs, putting some carbon into the atmosphere to bring global warming on even quicker. I wish I was with you, but duty calls. I'm here on the banks of the Schuylkill this evening at our studio, making sure that you're informed on the week that's gone by to prepare you for the week ahead. It's the week before Christmas. Get your shopping done, fellow procrastinators. You are rapidly running out of time. I have done very little shopping this year. I'm ashamed to say the kids are in pretty good shape. Beyond that, I've got some work to do. It's going to be a hell week in that respect, and I've done it to myself. I have no one to blame but myself. I am only looking for sympathy from fellow procrastinators, even though we make this bed and we need to lie in it. 855-839-1210 is the number on the show. You can also watch us live over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WP. and you can participate in the comments, which is usually pretty salty, always honest, and I'm watching even if I don't always comment. Yes, Jimmy, Mariah Carey is terrible. Unpopular opinion this time of year. I get why the song's popular, but it's a little hard to take because we have it shoved down our throat every year for an entire month. We are going to very shortly here get into another Christmassy topic, which is my list and Henry's list. We have competing top 10 best Christmas movies of all time. I also made a sub list of some runners up and movies that are overrated. Because God knows there's plenty to choose from. Should we do it now, Henry? Why not? Let's do it. Do you have your list
Sure.
ready?
Yeah. I got it. Where do you want to start here?
At
10? Honorable mentions?
I was going to say, I think we should go in reverse order. Does it make sense that I do my list, you do your list, or do you tell your 10, I tell my 10? As a radio professional, what do you think?
I think.
How about I do my 10?
Yeah, you do your 10, and then we'll compare and contrast that.
And I'm gonna go in reverse order here. We'll count down to number 1. So, number 10. This is one that is going to make, I think, very few lists, but it's on mine. Fred Claus. Love Fred Claus. 2007, right? Stars Vince Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Paul Giamatti as Santa Claus, which is a really cool pick because he's an amazing actor, right? John Adams, billionaire. Great work from him no matter what he's ever in. It's kind of sweet. If you've never seen it, it's a story about Santa Claus, Paul Giamatti, and his brother, Vince Vaughn. And they've got some heat because, surprise, surprise, Vince Vaughn feels like he's always been in Santa Claus's shadow. And then naturally being a Christmas movie, it's oriented around Vince Vaughn eventually helping save Christmas from one of the best villains in all of the history of film, Kevin Spacey, who plays the bad guy here who's trying to shut down the North Pole. This is before Kevin Spacey got canceled.
Of course.
Yes, naturally. Rotten Tomatoes hates this movie. Loathes it is probably better. I'm looking right now. It's got a 21% critic score, but you can't always go by the critic score.
No, that's rubbish.
The audience score is 45%. People don't like it. I think it's good. I think it's the most underrated Christmas movie of at least the recent batch. Let's say last 20, 30 years. So that's number 10. Have you seen Fred Claus? Because we started out tonight's program by you admitting you haven't seen many Christmas movies.
Vaguely remember the movie.
You vaguely remember it. Okay.
Like I have seen it before. It wasn't anything that like stuck with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And for most people, it has not become one of these cult classics.
No.
Yes, it's on Max. They always have it up, so you can watch it on. I think it's a good flick. It's got great people in it. Kathy Bates plays Santa Claus's mom. I mean, the acting talent is hefty.
Yeah, you got some chops in there.
Yeah, seriously. Number 9, Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 is interesting to me because how often is it, forget Christmas movies, how often is it that it's not only good, but ranks in the top 10 of anything? But Home Alone 2 holds up. And of course, it has a cameo from one of our favorite American presidents that has now become a classic. I think we have the clip.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall.
And there were great memes during the last election about this is proof that Donald Trump has been good for the youth of America, blah, blah, blah. You know, people doing all kinds of fun things with it. But it's a great little Donald Trump cameo in Home Alone 2. But Home Alone 2 is great. I mean, and it's cool, Henry, because they took the same formula, right? They didn't try to be cute. They didn't try to be that different. His family forgot him again, right? But they just moved it to New York City.
Yeah.
And added a couple different twists, but it was still essentially the same formula. The interesting thing about Home Alone as I get older, and I was joking about this on X and Facebook earlier today, you realize how horrible Kevin's family is to him. Downright mean. His uncle is evil. His parents are nasty to him. The adults that are laughing at the Home Alone 2 Christmas concert, when Buzz is behind him holding the candles, trying to make fun of him. Like, who are these awful people?
I know. Like,
they're terrible.
You'd think after the last time, you know, you'd lighten up a little bit, but
one would think, right? But then I started thinking, okay, like maybe I'm getting too meta here, but are we supposed to be seeing this through Kevin's eyes? Is that why the parents seem so mean? Because when you're a kid, when you're angry, you think everyone's being mean to you, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what the intention here was. I've never seen an interview with the director of Home Alone to know whether or not that's what they were intending to do. But that's my, because otherwise, I mean, it's actually quite hard.
Well, I'm sure you have. I mean, I know you. The original is going to be on your list somewhere. We can talk about what kind of sparks the whole movie, like puts the whole thing into action. It's just one little overreaction that like sparks this whole movie. And we can talk about when we cross that bridge when you get there, but it is insane, kind of the way they just overreacted everything.
Yes, 100%. Kevin's parents were absolutely horrible. We can all agree on that. Number 8, and this is the only one from this category that makes my top 10 list, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I'm referring to the 1966 original. The Jim Carrey version, I think it was a tremendous performance by Jim Carrey, who's one of the great character actors of all time. But the rest of the movie was meh. It only holds up because of his performance. It's not a bad movie. Most of these movies, even if they don't make my top 10 list, I still enjoy them. I enjoy Jim Carrey's Grinch. It's just, it's not top 10 material. The original, fantastic. And it's the only, I said from its category, it's the only animated movie that makes my top 10 list, which I know the claymation purists out there, right? You're wondering where some of your favorites are. More on that later. But it's my list. Make your own list. Number 7. I'm jumping ahead. The Santa Claus with an E. The 1994 flick with Tim Allen, who at the time was extremely popular with Americans because of Home Improvement, his show that was on ABC. Mm-hmm. He played, and maybe this is because of all my time working as a family law attorney. This one's close to me. This is really like the only divorce Christmas movie. You don't really have a lot of other family Christmas movies that center on a broken family.
That's a good point.
Right? And so we all know the premise of the Santa Claus, right? Like mom and dad are divorced. Dad's very focused on his job, which just happens to be selling toys. Ends up having this magical Christmas Eve where Santa falls off his roof, which, again, speaking of darkness in Christmas movies, we talked about how evil Kevin's family is. Santa Claus essentially dying at the beginning of a Christmas movie. Interesting play for a kid's classic.
It really...
But it works.
I would have loved to be in that pitch meeting. Just like, all right,
right.
Here's the plan.
First 15 minutes, Santa dead
Tim
off a
Allen
roof.
startles Santa a little bit, so he slips and falls off the roof and dies.
Yes. Interesting play there. Interesting play there. But it works. It works, and it's one of my all-time favorites. It's one I watch every year, and I've gotten my my son into whether he likes it or not. I think it's a good one. And also, just, I mentioned earlier I was born in 84. It's something from my childhood. I acknowledge my bias, right? It's one that was big when I was like 10. So I
got you.
Yeah. All right. So progressing forward here on the Christmas list. Number 6, White Christmas from 1954. Henry, have you ever seen White Christmas?
No.
Okay. So White Christmas, it's from a time when people wanted different things in their movies, right? Everything I've mentioned so far has kind of a tight plot, albeit a formulaic one, right? White Christmas was when people still liked the spectacle. They liked music. They liked dancing. They wanted to be primarily entertained by their cinema. And this classic story of 2 World War II veterans going and essentially saving their former commander's ski lodge over the Christmas holidays by bringing their star act up there. I don't know. There's just something about it, White Christmas, that is just quintessential Christmas. This is the, hot cup of cocoa movie that you ingest after shoveling snow for 2 hours. It just feels good. And the other thing I like about White Christmas, Henry, it's a great movie to be doing something else to. That may seem like a weird endorsement. It's a great movie to wrap presents to, or bake cookies to, or be doing whatever your holiday activity is you got to get done.
It's background noise.
It is, but it's beautiful noise.
Okay.
And it's very well done, very engaging. Let's figure this out time-wise. It's 9:19. Should I finish my list, or should we break halfway and come back and finish it?
Just keep going. Spots are light.
The Spirit's going to do it all in one night here.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You just went really South Philly there. Yeah, don't worry about it, Matt. We gonna get the list done. Number 5. We're speeding ahead here about 30 years, more than 30 years. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I think it is pound for pound the funniest Christmas movie of all time. And the beauty of it, even though there's things about it that are obviously, comically extreme and absurd, which is what you would expect from a comedy and what you want from a comedy, everyone can find parallels with their own family Christmas hijinks in this movie. Everyone has the crazy, weird aunt that is slipping and says strange stuff. Nationally, we have one. It's called Joe Biden, right? Everyone has the annoying sibling. Everyone has that parent or that uncle or whoever they are in your life, like Clark Griswold, that just tries so hard to make it perfect for everyone, but often ends up creating a situation where it backfires terribly. But at the end of the day, we all appreciate it, right? Which is one of the things that, ultimately we see at the end of the National Lampoon Christmas Adventure. It's a great movie all around. It's a lot of fun. I went to Miracle on 13th Street in Philly this year, and there's one house that is specifically devoted to this movie, which just, I think, is a testament to how it holds up. It's just great fun.
Yeah.
And it was the high water mark of Chevy Chase.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, it was all downhill from there. But this is on the must-watch list every single year. And my favorite line in the movie, I can't repeat on air because of the FCC. But Cousin Eddie, I mean, that character alone, that's all you need. Number 4, we already mentioned Home Alone 2, Home Alone. I mean, it's classic Christmas, right? When you think of the child in Bethlehem, the nativity and everything, naturally your mind migrates towards a juvenile left alone by his parents, shooting BB guns and inventing all other forms of torture for 2 burglars trying to break into his home over Christmas. I'm being a smart aleck, obviously. There's nothing about the Home Alone thing when you talk about pitch meetings that should have worked, but it does. And I think going back to something Henry and I were talking about earlier, the trick with Home Alone is you kind of see it through Kevin's eyes, because Christmas as a kid sort of is beyond belief, right? There's so much of that, but this seems special, supernatural, kind of extraordinary, extra, to use a more millennial Gen Z term, right? And that's how you experience it through Kevin, whether it's him walking into the church and the church feels so large and the music and there's close shots of the statues. Christmas just, it seems so otherworldly at that age, or whether or not it's the parents being mean to you, right? Or at least it feels that way, as if everyone's against you when you're upset about something, insecure about something, sad about something. It just captures the wonder of Christmas in a way that so few other movies do, besides just being a lot of fun, because Joe Pesci, right, and his fellow burglar give such a great performance, right? I mean, what can you say? It's great.
Yeah, I agree. And it does kind of, I miss like things being that big, like, and so like, I don't know, beautiful at Christmas time. You don't get that same kind of joy and warm, fuzzy feeling as you would as a kid. But you know what's like funny about that movie? The whole thing starts because stinking Uncle Frank yells at Kevin over a glass of spilt milk.
That's right.
He's literally crying over spilt milk. And then it sets this whole chain of events off where, they all yell at him and he goes to his room, pouting and
look what you did, you little jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all it took.
That's right.
Because Uncle Frank is just the biggest villain.
And cheap, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to have the brother that pays for my free trip to Paris.
Easily.
Or I forget. The first one they're going to Paris, one they're going to Florida.
Yeah.
And I forget which is which. I'm mixing them up in my mind. I think the second one they go to Florida, the first one they're going to Paris. Yes, the first one they're going to Paris because
the first one they go to Paris.
Because there's this scene with Catherine O'Hara in the airport negotiating with the French flight attendant.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. A Christmas Story is number 3. Again, I don't think there's a lot of surprise with this one. It's on most people's best list. I mentioned a little bit ago on this list, we were talking about National Lampoon. Now, National Lampoon is obviously more of a comedy than this one, even though there's a lot of humor in A Christmas Story, which was released in 1983. This one, I think more than any other, really does give you insight into the classic American family Christmas. And there's something about it that's just so sweet and authentic and real. You kind of step into Ralphie, just like you step into Kevin in Home Alone. And I mean, the performance of the father in A Christmas Story. Fragile, yes. It's perfect. And look, maybe there's a common thread with a lot of these movies. Parents in these Christmas movies loom large, right? You know, and in the case of The Christmas Story in particular, the father and his ability to loom so large over the holiday and to make a Christmas for his family. We all have a figure like that in our lives, you know? So the late Darren McGavin, he should have gotten an Oscar for that performance as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really fantastic. Number 2, A Christmas Carol, specifically the 1951 with Alistair Sim. I know. For our younger listeners, it's black and white. Get over yourself. I don't know what to tell you. Alistair Sim's performance has never been replicated, and it is really the best Christmas Carol. It's the one for anyone that enjoys Dickens, which really rings the truest. And, I mean, look, you don't need me to explain the Christmas Carol. That's one of those few stories that we all know the plot. It doesn't get any more Christmas than that classic morality tale, and Alistair Sims is the closest. I will jump ahead real quick to my honorable mention list. The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Great.
Right? I actually think it's one of the best, too.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I also have Scrooged with Bill Murray on my list. Scrooged, I think it's a very 80s film. It doesn't hold up as well in some ways, the humor and everything, even though I love Bill Murray. Muppet Christmas Carol, I mean, Michael Caine. He could have done one without Muppets, and it might have been one of the best because he's just such a great actor. He's got great acting chops. But those two, I think, might be 1 and 2, actually. And then last but not least, a little cliche, but I do think it's true. It's a Wonderful Life. Might be the perfect Christmas movie. It takes a lot to make me cry. The Eagles come very close to doing it sometimes. That last scene where the neighborhood comes together to save this guy that has sacrificed Jimmy Stewart's character, that has sacrificed his entire life for his family, his friends, his neighbors, given up tremendous opportunities. And then Clarence leaves him that little note that says, you know, oh God, I'm blanking. About friendship.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, now I got to look it up.
Well, that scene makes me tear up every time, too.
Oh, the waterworks.
It gets me right in the feels. I mean, how could it not?
Oh, it does. It really does. And it does it for a reason. Because I think it really is, it epitomizes what the holiday is supposed to be about, right? It's not just about the presents. It's not just about the decorations. It's about these, and I'm going to get a little bit theological here for a second. You'll have to forgive me. You know, I don't usually do this. It's this Christ-like example, right? Like we celebrate Christmas, even though sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. We celebrate Christmas because this child was born in Bethlehem who came to set us all free. That's what Christians believe. You don't believe that? Fine. You're still allowed to listen to the program. We love you too. But that's what people like myself believe. So Jimmy Stewart, in many ways, in that film, his character lives the life that we believe you're supposed to lead.
Yeah. Clarence's note is, Dear George, remember, no man is a failure who has friends.
Yes,
Thanks
you.
For the wings. Love, Clarence.
There you go. It's a great quote.
What do you want, the moon?
I'll lasso it for you, Mary. It's good. So that's my list. I mean, I guess what we should do is maybe let's break and we'll bring in yours.
Take a break and then
Henry can explain how mine is wrong.
Yeah, we'll get to some real squabbling when we come back from break.
You were quite gentlemanly.
I held my tongue. I let you speak your piece.
And now when we come back on the other side of this break here in the Matt Rooney Show, we will have Henry and his opportunity to say his piece. I'm looking forward to it. 855-839-1210 is the number. Quick break, back in just a moment.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
PennDOT reopens part of 202, but traffic remains a problem in King of Prussia due to sinkholes. Philadelphia wins a $16 million federal grant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in parts of North Philadelphia. Eagles announce quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable for Monday's game against the Seahawks.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit, hims.com/joy.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. If you get a new tablet or cell phone this year, recycle your old one, either by donation or an e-waste program. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The winter months are rolling in, and I'm excited to talk with you, though, about Rescue's natural supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health boosting products at under $20? To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. You'll speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, support overall well-being with Rescue's selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com today.
Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-384-7878. That's 800-384-7878. 800-384-7878. Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
I love me some Kelly Clarkson. I do.
Played it just for you.
Underrated Christmas song. You know, since we're talking about Christmas and Jesus and all this stuff, you know, Kelly Clarkson's not Catholic, but when Pope Benedict visited the United States back in like 2007 or whenever that happened, she volunteered to sing the Ave Maria for the Pope. The feels, man, like chills. It was great because she had this like smoky presentation with how she sang it. Really good stuff. I know it's kind of random, but it's the holidays. We listen to a lot of religious music. Check that out sometime. It's on YouTube. Really cool. Really different. We are talking about greatest Christmas movies of all time here on the Matt Rooney Show. I gave you my list. Quick aside that has nothing to do with anything, but I like to have some symmetry in the show. We didn't take a ton of calls tonight. I know, I apologize. I've seen some of you been popping up. We did talk to Alex from Swarthmore, and he mentioned calling into an African-American radio show to talk about Zionism. And at the time, I'll be honest, Alex, I was kind of scratching my head thinking, like, what's the connection here? I just had a news alert from the AP, the Associated Press, and they have a race and ethnicity subcategory at the AP website now. Why does that not surprise me? But the story is Black American solidarity with Palestinians is rising and testing long-standing ties to Jewish allies. I'm not in the mood to get into this right now because it's the last show before Christmas, but I will tweet this out, and it is one of the things we're going to get into in 2024 because that is clearly a problem for the Democrat coalition, right? Because those are two groups in our country, African Americans, Black voters, and Jewish Americans that have traditionally voted lockstep, at least going back to the Nixon era, right? If that phrase, Joe Biden's got enough problems already. That's one he's not going to be able to put back together. Because remember, part of the reason Joe Biden originally won the nomination is he is very popular, was very popular with Black voters. He won South Carolina, which helped him get the nomination. So back to Henry's list, though. We're going to keep a little light, whether you like it or not. You heard mine. Now it's his turn.
Okay. All right. So we'll start at number 10. Charlie Brown Christmas.
Charlie Brown Christmas. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a goodie.
Yeah. Tries to make everything perfect. Just doesn't turn out that way. Everyone bands together in the end to, make things right. And, Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown at the end, and they go and hark the herald angels sing. I don't know.
That gets you?
It gets me. It gets me. I like that. I don't know. It always sticks out to me. I always enjoy watching it. Yeah.
The movie's good. And I said this at the beginning when I gave my list. Just because it's not on my list doesn't mean it's good. There's so many Christmas movies. They can't all be in the top 10. The movie's fine. I prefer the soundtrack. Vince Guaraldi. I love that soundtrack to that film. I regularly have it on in the background this time of year when I'm just trying to get some work done.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect.
Yes.
It's excellently scored. It's just, Linus and Lucy. It's just all the things you think about when it's Christmas. Like you'll hear that song on the radio.
And one of the fun facts about this, and then I'll shut up because this is Henry's list, not mine. I remember watching the interview about Charlie Brown's Christmas special, and originally, and this goes with the theme of what we're talking about, Henry, because we keep talking about imagine these pitch meetings, some of these Christmas movies, how did they ever get made, given how ridiculous the plot is? The obvious concern they had when they were producing this one is Americans don't love jazz enough to want to watch a Christmas show where all the music is jazz.
Yeah.
And yet, because it's usually not what you get, right? It's usually some kind of popular music that's the background, whether it's White Christmas all the way to the present. But it worked.
It does, and it still works.
Holds up.
Number 9. This is one of our similar movies. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Okay, there you go.
1966 version. Yeah, I still love watching that one. I like when his heart grows 3 times, 3 sizes that day. The roast beast always gets me hungry. I always like all the
the roast beast does look pretty solid.
Yeah. Just slicing it up. And it's like, I could use some roast beast right now. All the
and some hoo hash.
Yeah,
I could go for some hoo hash right now. Actually,
and all the contraptions they use on Christmas Day, and when he's complaining about them, and just like I don't know, that always seems so whimsical to me. And be like, you know what, I kind of want that for Christmas too. I'd like that.
Yes.
So those were fun.
That's a goodie.
Yeah.
I love the Grinch, and I leave it on there, even though Dr. Seuss, God rest his soul, was kind of a borderline commie.
Yeah.
Still a great message.
Great message. Not the best dude.
not the best dude in the world, but he produced a pretty solid piece of art.
Yes, that's for sure.
In How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
8, another similar movie, Home Alone 2.
Okay, there's some overlap here.
There is some overlap. Once we get more towards the top here, you're gonna start questioning some things. But yeah, for all the reasons we hit on earlier, like Home Alone 2. Everything seems so big. He's in New York City by himself. It's kind of like a kid's fantasy. You get the hotel room, you get the room service. These people start to bother you. They're so dumb that you can just trick them.
Great. We mentioned Trump earlier. Great performance in that from Tim Curry.
Yeah,
who's been in very poor health in more recent years.
Right.
It's a sad case, but great. I loved him in Clue. He was great in Clue. He was also in Muppet Treasure Island. He played Long John Silver.
I haven't seen that.
I'm a little bit of a Muppet guy.
Yeah.
But he was great as the hotel manager.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Number 7. This was a notable omission from you. Die Hard.
All right. So now we have to fight. It's not a Christmas movie.
Oh, if you don't think this is
and I'm looking at the comments, I see Chris, he keeps saying Die Hard. It's not a Christmas movie.
Why is it not a Christmas movie?
Because to be a Christmas movie, it can't just take place at Christmas. There's nothing about Die Hard's plot which relates in any way to traditional Christmas themes. Like, I'll give you another example. Batman, the sequel.
Yeah.
With Danny DeVito as the Penguin, takes place at Christmas. There's Christmas trees. There's a little bit of a Christmas tone in Danny Elfman's soundtrack for that one. Snow, all that stuff. But it's nothing to do with Christmas. It's just they thought Gotham City would look cool that time of year, and it really did. Fantastic movie by Tim Burton, although a little weird. Got Chris Walken, whatever, but it's not a Christmas movie.
So you're
Same
saying,
with Die Hard.
You're saying you need the themes of Christmas in the movie. You need like some story with some resolution, like they figure out the true meaning, the true spirit of Christmas at the end.
That's exactly right. In my mind, that's the missing element. Die Hard, like, awesome movie. Love it. Love Bruce Willis. I like all the Die Hards, but it's not a Christmas movie.
I mean, it takes place on Christmas Eve, though.
I see
Christmas Eve party. It's a party for Christmas, though.
Look, it's a free country, no less so at Christmas. Everyone can apply their own litmus test. I gave you mine.
All right.
Chris, I'm following this now. He says Batman Returns is a Christmas movie. It's not, bud. And I love Batman. He's my favorite superhero. It's a great movie. I love Michael Keaton's Batman's the best. Still not a Christmas movie.
Yeah. And I'll say this much about Die Hard 2. Nobody deserves to get shot more than Ellis in that movie.
Oh, 110%. Yeah.
So, yeah, good.
We agree with it on that much.
Number 6, another overlap here. Home Alone.
There you go.
It's the same thing.
The Christmas classic. It's hard, right, to articulate it, but and maybe that's appropriate, right? Because it's just indescribable, that feeling you have about Christmas as a kid.
Yeah.
And somehow those two movies capture it.
Yeah.
It's big. I think that's how you said it. I think it's a good way to put it.
And Kevin's so like imaginative in the things that he does, setting up the Christmas party to, keep them out. It's like, oh, I thought they were, on vacation. It's like, I guess they're not.
The shovel slayer next door.
Yeah.
Who ends up being a sweet old man that helps him.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Which, speaking of getting choked up, We talked about It's a Wonderful Life being a tearjerker. Another one that gets me. See, Matt Rooney, you may think I'm this hardened Politico, folks, but I have feelings too. I have a heart. It's grown 3 sizes just since the beginning of this show. The scene when the shovel guy next door reunites, Old Man Marley, I think is his name, right? When he reunites with his son and his granddaughter.
Yeah.
When Kevin's looking out the window, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Oh, God. That's Christmas. So you don't have anything like that in Die Hard.
Well, he reunites with his ex-wife.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Whatever you want to call it.
I'm fighting a losing battle here.
You're gonna hate this one.
Okay.
You're absolutely gonna hate this one, and you might be like, this has nothing to do with Christmas at all. But I think it just has one of the more memorable just Christmas feels to it in the same way that Home Alone does. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay, so I actually am a big Harry Potter fan. I like Harry Potter. I'm also a fan of J.K. Rowling for reasons that some of you might suspect. Not only is she a good author, but I like her taking on some of the crazy gender politics that exist right now in our world. Again, it's not a Christmas movie. It fails for the same reason that Die Hard and Batman Returns do. It takes place at Christmas. There's some Christmas elements, but it doesn't relate in any way to the themes of Christmas.
I understand that. I just think that scene,
but a great movie.
Yeah, where they're wearing the sweaters and there's fireplace in the background. Harry runs up and Ron's like, "Happy Christmas, Harry." "Happy Christmas, Ron." Like I don't know that's and just like when in the mess hall with the candles lit and everything. It feels like Christmas. It's got that.
So is it a Halloween movie too? Because in that movie, they also have that great Halloween part.
It is, yeah.
And wizards
it
and witches and everything.
Yeah.
So is it, and well, I have a comment about a similar kind of situation, but I'm going to keep it to myself because I don't know what else is on your list.
Okay. Yeah. No, you might have to save it for the end.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So that was number 5. Number 4, another one we both agree on. It's a Wonderful Life. I mean,
yeah, it's got to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
We can change where it is,
I
but
will watch that every year.
Yep.
Start to finish, just waiting on the day that Potter croaks. I mean,
I hate Potter.
It's the worst. And his voice too, it encapsulates what, such a villain he is, just in his wheelchair, all fat.
The best part with Potter is at the end when Jimmy Stewart, right? He's realized that he's alive and that he's back in Bedford Falls, and he's exuberant. He's running home to see his family, and he says, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter."
Yeah.
And Potter goes, "Merry Christmas to you too, in jail." One of my favorite lines.
Oh, he's such a jerk.
It's great.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
So number 3.
Also, since it's a political show, I loved like the political boss angle.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that in Capra. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, another Jimmy Stewart movie. Nothing to do with Christmas, but in any event.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. We might differ a little here. The Polar Express.
So this is interesting because I love the book, right? We all grew up with the book and the bell.
Right.
I think it's actually a cool story, the movie, how they did it.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, who doesn't love Tom Hanks? Uncanny Valley, man. The creepy animation. That's what keeps it out of the top 10 for me.
Is that all it does? Just the art style of it?
Yeah, like it's weird. It looks.
I think it kind of gives
creepy.
it some like edge to it almost.
Yeah.
Especially for like a kid's movie.
Well, okay, so like the ghost on top of the train.
Yeah.
Makes it spookier. I could see that.
You're right.
I'll tell you one of the things I don't like about that movie. And I do enjoy it. I've already watched it with my son once this season. I don't like Santa Claus in that movie.
Really?
He's kind of aloof and cold. And Tom Hanks does a lot of good impressions, but I don't think as Santa Claus has any warmth.
So he's not going to get cast in that role ever again.
Santa Claus is supposed to be jolly.
Yeah.
And that Santa Claus in the Polar Express movie adaptation is like 8 feet tall.
Right.
Talks like this booming voice. He's kind of scary. He's supposed to be a jolly old elf, right?
So I'll take it from like the Kevin perspective again. Isn't, Santa kind of that larger than life figure, a mysterious figure almost that you'd like, you wonder about. So as a kid,
for some kids'
perspective, I mean,
I've seen my kids on Santa's lap, and it doesn't always go well,
no,
right?
there's some pictures, some old pictures of me,
screaming your head off,
having a fit on Santa's lap. So
no, look, you're not wrong. It's a neat movie, and it's if we're doing Rotten Tomatoes here, I'll rate it fresh. I don't think it's a bad movie.
No,
but the Uncanny Valley for me and my problems with Santa keep it out of my top 10.
Okay. I can respect that. And also just on top of that,
it has spawned an industry, right? Some of these films have now taken on a life of their own, right? Like how many Christmas sweaters relate to National Lampoon, right?
Right. It's true.
The Christmas train industry, man. I took my kids on the one in New Hope last year.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to go to Disney World. Like it is so expensive, but people pay it to sit in their pajamas on an old train and drink hot cocoa and get a picture with Santa.
And that's where I was going with the hot cocoa scene.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need a glass every time. I need something. And the song is great.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Number 2, and you're gonna start, screaming and yelling and
I don't know about that.
cursing. Elf.
So, all right. This is probably our biggest disagreement for everyone that, was listening to this program. Obviously, you're jotting down my list and Henry's list. Maybe we should tweet them later.
Okay.
Or post them on X, whatever we say now. I don't hate Elf. It's an amusing film. Once again, I mentioned the Jim Carrey and the Grinch. That performance, independent of the movie, was really cool. I mean, Will Ferrell as Elf. That's Will Ferrell at his best. That's peak Ferrell, right? But when you strip his performance out of it, it's just not that great. Zoe Deschanel is a puke. She's got no personality. She's uncompelling as a romantic lead, okay, in the film. The plot is kind of fun, right? And there's some, good character actors in it, right? I love that Sonny Corleone is in it, right? James Caan, right? Rest in peace. But it kind of like there's that joke in the beginning of the movie where James Caan is a hard-nosed publisher and he puts out a book without finishing it.
Right.
I kind of feel like that's Elf. Like it kind of ends in a weird note, and there's that weird inside joke at the end about the reporter getting dumped on by the anchor back at the station that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It just doesn't click for me. It's not a bad movie. That's a theme here. Most of these are entertaining movies, just not a top 10er.
Well, I mean, you talk about like Zoe Deschanel being kind of like lifeless, and that's kind of like if you take, Will Ferrell out of it, that's everyone else in the movie's kind of like that. Isn't that the point though? He's trying to he's turning their hearts, he's changing their minds, he's putting Christmas spirit back into all the people around him because they're all just kind of like ho hum about Christmas, like, oh, whatever, it's another season. Like she's just working a dead end retail job, dressed like an elf. It's like, who cares,
right?
But
they turned off the water at her apartment. You know, she's having a rough time.
Yeah, so he brings the joy back, and that's kind of like the point to me. And if you want some story with some resolution at the end, I feel like that's right up your alley.
There is some resolution. Well, I mean, look, so the resolution qualifies it as a Christmas flick. Okay. Nobody doubts that Elf is a Christmas flick. Yeah. And it's not a bad movie. Like if we were doing a top 25, which considering there are thousands of Christmas movies, it would definitely deserve honorable mention. I do just think it's one of the most overrated films of all time. Okay. It's nowhere in my mind on the same level as the ones I put in my top 10.
Okay. I feel like at this point, Elf has become like All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. It's in that same air.
I think there is some of that too.
I think it's like people are so sick of it because people for years this is so funny, this is great, and now it's just, I don't know, it's almost like mainstream.
Kind of like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
There's a reason you don't see too much of him anymore.
Yeah,
it just kind of, I mean, look at some of his movies are my favorite movies. They're funny, right? Old School or what was it? Brothers, Half Brothers?
Step Brothers. Hilarious. Yeah. Awesome.
Catalina wine mixer. But it's just, I don't know. I'm not angry at you. I don't hold it in the same esteem.
Okay.
There may also be a little bit of a generational thing here too.
I think
being a little bit older, I don't.
Makes sense.
I gravitate towards the stuff that came out when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. I mean, Elf came out when I was really young, so
yeah,
something I grew up on. Some honorable mentions: Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it takes place right then.
I got to think about whether or not that fails my rule, and that's Elf was number 1.
Elf is 2.
Elf is 2. Oh, is Edward Scissorhands number 1?
No, I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're doing your honorable mentions
Yeah,
before you get to your number 1. Okay.
So, Edward Scissorhands,
Okay.
Bad Santa. I mean, can't repeat any of the quotes they say in that movie, but it's pretty fun.
Bad Santa, again, if I was doing a top 25, that would make it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Herman Merman,
We
man.
just don't have time for that. A Christmas Story.
No, I want an official red carbonation 200 millimeter rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Easy enough just for that scene alone.
Oh, 100%.
Ho, ho. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 2000 with Jim
Carrey.
Yeah, the live action. That's a great one. The Santa Claus, had to give credit to that. It's a great one.
It is a good one.
And then The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Which I struggled with that because I love The Nightmare Before Christmas, but for obvious reasons. Is it Halloween? Is it Christmas? It just doesn't neatly fit into any one category.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a Halloween movie at the end of the day, even though Christmas is in the title.
Yeah.
But I don't feel as strongly about that as I do some of the other ones you've mentioned that I don't think are Christmas movies.
Right.
Nightmare Before Christmas, I mean, it's,
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Should I give some of my honorable mentions too, and then we'll have your number 1?
Yeah, sure.
Other honorable mentions, I didn't put too many claymations or anything on my list. The Year Without a Santa Claus with Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
He's Mr.
Heat Lister, he's Mr. Sun. That's pretty entertaining. Definitely my favorite of the claymations. Nightmare Before Christmas. Ernest Saves Christmas. 1988. Again, for my fellow kids of the 80s and 90s, when Ernest was big. Fun film. And it's one of the classic Christmas tropes. Santa Claus is going to retire. He needs a replacement. It's done very well, and it's got a lot of heart. And I have a soft spot for Ernest. A little bit weird. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. It's a claymation, very obscure. My dad and I loved it when I was a kid. We used to watch it every year together. Frank Baum decided to create, famous author, obviously, decided to create kind of like a pagan version of Christmas.
Okay.
So it's one where basically Santa Claus, I know this sounds completely bizarre. He's basically adopted by some woodland spirits that then like help him fight this like troop of trolls. It's bizarre, but Christmas is bizarre.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. It really is. It's a neat spin on Christmas that's very different. I also said the 1985 Santa Claus with Dudley Moore and John Lithgow. Villains make films. Kevin Spacey makes Fred Claus a good film. John Lithgow, another great American actor, he plays the heartless corporate tycoon in that one.
Right. He's perfect for that.
It's great. It's very 80s, but
I'd imagine, yeah.
But it's very good.
Okay.
Let's have it. What's Henry's number 1?
Number 1. Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. See, I thought you were going to say Love Actually, even though you've never seen it.
Never seen
that
it.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, Catch Me If You Can, because they meet every single year on Christmas, and I think about the one of the last scenes when he finally catches him, and they're in France. It's Christmas Eve. There's mass. You can hear the singing in the background. I don't know. I think
that was one I was not expecting.
No one ever does. And
so by the way, Henry saw my list before we did it, but I did not see Henry's list.
Yeah, I kept it a secret.
He kept it a secret. Wow. Okay. All right. I think we should tweet these out later for everybody so they can take a look at them. You obviously have your own suggestions. I know some of you tried to call in. Limitations of time and space just weren't able to get to them. We're not Santa Claus. We can't bend the rules of physics. Make sure you share online. On the way out the door here, most overrated of all time, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Really?
Santa Claus is a jerk in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Again,
eats, Papa, eats.
Yes, exactly. Right? It also, it encourages obesity. It's just not a good movie. It's not very wholesome. Well, we did have a wholesome time here, though, on the Matt Rooney Show this evening. Thank you to producer Henry. Thank you to everyone that listened. The Matt Rooney Show will be back in January after a little bit of a holiday break, but I will be on for Nick Cale this Friday, December 22nd, 6 to 10 a.m. with Mary Walter. Make sure you tune in. Until then, stay safe, stay sane, and keep fighting for this greatest nation in God's creation. It's worth it. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
This Christmas, put the world on hold and enjoy a